I had seen too many stories about real and fake heirs. So, the first thing I did upon returning to this wealthy family was speak to the first sisters defending the fake heir. You do not want to treat me as your real brother, and I have no desire to acknowledge you as my sisters. Since, in your hearts, Mu Chen is the only one you see as your brother, then he is the only brother you have. Keep him if you want. Just stay out of my way from now on. My words made the Mu heiress's expressions change dramatically. Father Mu and Xuerou were both angry and anxious. Seeing Xuerou so upset, I sighed. Do not overthink it, you and Dad. Since I chose to come back, I sincerely acknowledge you both, but only you two. I have no interest in chasing those who reject me. I am the honored young lord of Wangsi city. Others have always been the ones currying favor with me. Since when should I swallow my pride and humble myself to please others? Since I now occupy Mu Chen's body, I have formed a karmic bond with him. Father Mu and Xuerou genuinely care for me, so naturally, I will honor and care for them. I will regard them as my own parents. As for everyone else, that depends. A burst of sobbing broke the silence. Everyone at the table turned to look. Mu Chen's eyes were red as he cried. Dad, Mom, sisters, I am sorry. It is all my fault. Little brother, please do not blame our sisters. Before he could finish, I cut him off without courtesy. Enough. Stop sniveling here. What, you think you are performing on stage? Put on your act if you like. I do not have time to watch. What exactly do you want? At worst, I'll leave and give your family back its happiness. As I spoke, I made to rise and leave. My words made Mu Chen flush scarlet. He could not say a word. Xuan, what nonsense are you saying? This is your real family. How can you just say you are leaving? Xuerou hurriedly spoke up. She grabbed my wrist tightly, afraid I would truly leave in anger. This will always be your home. Do whatever makes you happy. No one in this family has any right to criticize you. After saying that, she secretly glared at her daughters. Having daughters really is like raising debt collectors. Father Mu also shot his daughters a fierce glare. That is right, you are the master of this house. Anyone who has a problem with you can get out. From now on, do whatever makes you comfortable. Let me see who dares raise even the slightest objection. I was quite pleased with Father Mu and Xuerou's attitude. At least they knew what was what. If they had been just as muddle-headed, insisting on wronging their biological son for their adopted son, then I would not have treated them particularly well either. Mu Chen felt embarrassed, wronged, and heartbroken. He wished he could vanish from this place at once. But he simply did not have the nerve. He was no longer the Mu family's young master. Now, he was merely an adopted son living under their roof. That thought made him feel even worse. Xuerou looked at Mu Chen and comforted him gently. Xuan, do not cry here either. We already discussed this, did we not? Xuan is Xuan, and you are still you. There is no conflict between you. Just stay here at ease. Mu Chen kept sobbing. I just feel so sorry for my little brother. I froze just after taking a bite of food. Are you done yet? You keep saying you feel sorry for me, yet I do not see you volunteering to leave the Mu family. Since you chose to stay, stop wearing that wounded expression. It is truly disgusting to watch. And I am not your real little brother. Call me by my name from now on. Of course, I could see what Mu Chen was plotting. He only wanted to look pitiful and wronged, so everyone would pity and protect him. Such a cheap trick was nothing to me. If he enjoys acting, he can keep acting. But if he keeps pushing his luck and refuses to take the hint, then do not blame me for showing no consideration for our parents. Mu Chen's expression instantly froze. It was as if he had been slapped before everyone. His face went from livid to red, then back again. Inside, he was practically exploding with rage. But with everyone watching, he could not lash out. After I had called him out so bluntly in public, he would look far too deliberate if he kept pretending to be hurt. Mu Yue was the youngest of the four sisters. She also had the hottest temper. Seeing this, she immediately wanted to defend Mu Chen. But Mu Wanning firmly held her back. Mu Wanning looked at me across the table. Her eyes were full of curiosity and scrutiny. This little brother really did seem rather unusual. Mu Wanning's eyes flickered slightly. Welcome back to this family. Mom and Dad were absolutely right. From now on, this is your home. Do whatever makes you comfortable. You do not need to consider anyone else's feelings. We really did overlook things today. We thought you and Dad would not be home so soon. So the four of us went out to take care of some business. Please do not read too much into it. We are all truly happy that you came home. I gave her a bland glance and said nothing. Seeing his eldest daughter take the initiative, Father Mu finally looked somewhat satisfied. He turned and told the servants to continue serving the dishes. They had ordered the kitchen to prepare a grand feast today. They had prepared dishes in every kind of flavor, because they did not know what I liked to eat. By the way, Dad, where did Chen live before? Where are the family members he used to have? How should we handle those relationships going forward? Mu Chen seemed to suddenly remember something. She asked as though it were merely a casual question. After asking, she noticed Father Mu's expression change slightly. Mu Chen's curiosity was piqued. Dad, why did you suddenly go quiet? Is there something you cannot say about this? We are family now. Our brother's affairs are naturally our affairs too. You really do not need to keep it from us. It seemed this meal could not continue peacefully. If you want to know, ask me directly. I picked up a napkin and gently wiped my mouth. An old Daoist priest took me in when I was little. I lived in a rundown Daoist temple ever since. The temple stood on a remote, desolate mountain. Conditions were harsh, and there were rarely any worshippers or offerings. My master and I could barely keep ourselves fed, so I never attended school formally. All my reading and learning came from my master's lessons at the temple. I hardly ever came down the mountain growing up. My master passed away from old age 3 months ago. After he died, I lived alone at the temple, until Dad finally found me not long ago. Then he brought me back here. After a brief pause, I added, that temple has now closed for good. After all, I am no longer there. Of course, if I ever want to return, I can still go back and live there alone. In just a few words, I finished recounting my past. My tone remained calm and detached. There was no complaint in my words, nor the slightest trace of tearful self-pity, nor did I blame fate in any way. Yet Xuerou and Father Mu were heartbroken to hear it. The couple's eyes reddened despite themselves. Mu Chen and her 3 sisters were stunned, their feelings complicated. They never imagined that, while they knew nothing, their biological brother had been denied his place as the Mu family's cherished young master. A child the whole family should have treasured and pampered. Even Mu Yue began to feel guilty. She felt her earlier attitude had truly gone too far. Seeing this, Mu Chen inwardly thought, this is bad. He became convinced that I was deeply scheming. Those words I had just spoken were clearly intentional. He thought I had deliberately played the victim to win everyone's sympathy. By reflex, he wanted to apologize again. But then he suddenly recalled my attitude just now. He swallowed the words at the tip of his tongue and changed his approach. He chose what he thought was a cleverer way to put it. Chen, now that you have come home, your life will only get better from here on. You must still be adjusting to this family. If there is anything unfamiliar or confusing, you can come to me anytime. I will do everything I can to help you. If you do not mind, I can take you out and show you around. That way, you can get familiar with this place sooner. Oh, all right, thank you. Xuerou clasped my hand tightly and said the same thing. Her eyes brimmed with sorrow and guilt. Mom, I am fine. My master and I were happy before. Though our living conditions were indeed difficult, the temple was quiet and comfortable. My master loved me very much too. I was actually very happy growing up. What I had just said was true. The real Mu Chen had truly lived a happy life. All those years, though conditions at the temple were far from ideal, his master had always loved him dearly. He had done everything he could to give him the best of everything. Besides, there were usually hardly any people at the temple. The relationships around him were simple and genuine. He lived each day free and unrestrained. When he felt lonely as a child, he would play with animals in the back hills. Even alone, he could have a wonderful time in the mountains. His days were carefree, without a worry in the world. Mu Chen once said he had never felt his life was hard. To him, the real hardship was when his master fell gravely ill. Beyond all hope of recovery, his master was his only family in this world. He was the last anchor for all his love and spirit. It was also the first time he knew the agony of being parted by life and death. After his master passed away, he remained alone at the temple. He did not even have anyone to confide in. Every day was lonely and bleak. Half a month before Father Mu found him, Mu Chen went to gather firewood in the back hills and accidentally fell off a cliff. He was the only person on that remote, desolate mountain. No one knew he had fallen from the cliff, and so, he died without a sound. After death, his soul went straight to Wangsi city. I had just returned to the city to handle routine affairs. When I saw Mu Chen's soul, I found his fate exceptionally unusual. Judging by his birth chart and features, he should have had a life of great wealth, honor, and ease. It was an exceedingly rare fate, blessed with both fortune and longevity. Such a fate usually comes from good deeds accumulated over many lifetimes. Yet he had appeared in Wangsi city, That proved he had met a violent, unnatural death. The fate that should have been his had been altered by human hands. As it happened, Wangsi City had recently run into serious trouble. I needed to make a personal trip to the mortal realm, so I approached him and made a fair deal. I would borrow Mu Chen's identity in the mortal world to handle my affairs. Each of us got what we needed. That was how I came to experience everything at the Mu family home today. But they surely did not believe what I had just told them. Father Mu, and Xuerou least of all. They became even more convinced their biological son was kind and thoughtful. They thought I had said it all only to comfort them. Their hearts ached for their poor son. He had been born to a life of privilege, yet he had been cast adrift and suffered for more than a decade. They swore they would make it up to their biological son many times over. My words made the mood at the dinner table heavy. Everyone was lost in their own complicated thoughts. The Mu sisters did not provoke me again. They merely lowered their heads and ate in silence. Father Mu and Xuerou focused all their attention on me. Every so often, they gently asked whether the food suited my taste. Chen, which dish do you like best? Would you like Mom to get you some hot soup? They cared for me in every possible way. Meanwhile, Xuan sat beside us, unable to hide his disappointment. Mu Yue tried several times to say something, but whenever her gaze fell on me, her biological brother, she suddenly remembered what I had said earlier. The words at her lips were swallowed back. I was focused solely on savoring the delicious food on the table, but the Mu family read something else into it. Xuerou watched me with tears in her eyes. Her heart ached for me beyond measure. It was obvious that her son, living on that mountain before, had rarely had the chance to eat anything so plentiful and delicious. After all, he had lived in a rundown temple on a remote mountain. One could only imagine how harsh those conditions had been. Being able to eat his fill each day was already a blessing. How could he possibly have sampled fine delicacies? Xuerou had quietly made up her mind. From now on, she would make me different delicious meals every day. After dinner, all the children sat obediently in the living room. Father Mu called it a chance to bond with his newly returned son. I sat comfortably on the broad leather sofa in the center of the living room. I eagerly stared at the enormous flat-screen television before me. I watched the images on the screen with great interest. Chen, do you really like watching television? Xuerou asked with a gentle smile. With my eyes fixed on the television, I nodded hard. This television is so fascinating. What is on it is far more entertaining than an opera on stage. It has been a long time since I came to this bustling mortal world. I never expected the mortal world to have changed so much. I feel like some country bumpkin visiting the city for the first time. Seeing me like this, Xuerou's eyes reddened again. Her poor biological son. He was already this grown, yet he had never even properly watched television. As she thought this, the program suddenly cut to commercials. Xuerou immediately picked up the remote from the table. Chen, Mom will switch to another channel for you. The drama you were watching has ended for today. Let's see what else is on. There are plenty of other fun shows to watch. I nodded obediently. I put on an especially well-behaved, obedient look. Xuerou casually used the remote to change the channel. The new channel was airing a family drama. She put down the remote. But before long, the whole family looked awkward, especially Mu Chen, who was sitting nearby. His fair, delicate face flushed bright red. His eyes brimmed with undisguised shame, anger, and resentment. It was just that much of a coincidence. The television was showing a story about a real heir and a fake one. Two children whose identities had been switched by accident at birth. And today's episode happened to be about the real heir being found. Xuerou stared at the screen, utterly stunned. I casually switched to another channel. The plot playing on the screen was exactly like what was happening in our family. It could not have been more awkward. In the drama, the protagonist was taken home by his biological parents. The real son came home, but the adopted son remained. Not only did they not send him away, they spoiled him even more. They treated him better than their biological son. They treasured the adopted son like a precious jewel, while their real son was treated like dirt. The living room instantly filled with a strange, awkward tension. And then I casually commented, honestly, people in this world, why do they not cherish their biological son, but favor an adopted son instead? I know they raised him for many years, so it is natural that they cannot let him go. But they cannot make their biological son suffer. I shook my head repeatedly, unable to understand. The Mu family felt I was taking a veiled dig at them, but they had no proof. They had not sent Mu Chen away, but they certainly had not favored him either. Nor had they neglected or mistreated Mu Chen. They truly could not bear to part with Mu Chen. After all, they had raised him for over a decade. Their bond had built up over the years. They could not simply cast him aside, but they knew who should come first. No matter how much they loved Mu Xuan, they would not put him above Mu Chen. So they thought. Mu Chen was merely commenting on the drama, not taking a dig at them. Even if he was, then he was taking a dig at his sisters. Father Mu and Xuerou quietly reassured themselves, concealing their guilty unease. At first, they had considered sending Mu Xuan away. Mu Xuan was about to become an adult. They could buy him a place of his own, send him living expenses regularly, and support him through college. But their daughters fiercely opposed it, doing everything they could to stop them, and they themselves could not bear to do it either. Father Mu shot his daughters a fierce glare. Mu Xuan could not bear to stay any longer. Covering his face, he sobbed softly. Then he turned and ran upstairs. I looked over at him, completely baffled. What is wrong with him now? Mu Yuwei's face darkened. She held herself back from speaking. Xuerou forced a smile. It is nothing. He probably just is not used to it yet. I frowned slightly. Then once I move in, will he not be crying every day? That would drive everyone crazy. Xuerou was instantly left speechless. She suddenly felt rather weary. Are you doing this on purpose? Mu Yuwei finally could not hold back. I immediately looked away, blinking innocently. Doing what on purpose? Mu Yuwei glared at me through gritted teeth. You deliberately provoked him just now. Mom and Dad said they would make it up to you. What else could you possibly be unhappy about? Do you have to force Mu Xuan away before you will be satisfied? Now I finally understood. I tossed the remote onto the table and rose to my feet. I gave Mu Yuwei a cold glance. So, do you have to force me out instead? To clear the way for your precious brother? I cannot even speak after returning to my own home? I have to watch the fake heir's feelings even when I talk. With that, I turned and left. The living room instantly fell silent. Father Mu rushed over in fury. He furiously scolded his youngest daughter, until Mu Yuwei repeatedly begged for mercy. I am warning you girls. If you treat Mu Chen like this again, I will throw every last one of you out. His expression became exceptionally stern. You all need to understand this. Mu Chen is your biological brother. Your full brother by blood. In the matter of him and Mu Xuan having their identity switched, he is far more innocent than Mu Xuan. You only worry about Mu Xuan being wronged. Why do you not think about all these years, and how much your biological brother has suffered? How much hardship he has endured? The Mu family does not mind continuing to support him. But Mu Xuan can never come before Mu Chen. Father Mu's gaze settled on his youngest daughter. His face was extremely grim. You and Mu Xuan are close in age. You have been closest since childhood. I can understand why you defend him. But you must be clear about one thing. Mu Chen has done nothing wrong, and he owes none of you anything. I will only say this once. If anyone dares hurt Mu Chen again, I will skin whoever does it alive. Mu Yuwei's mouth twitched. She felt he was clearly talking about her. Dad, do not worry. We know where to draw the line. Mu Wanning spoke up. She explained what had happened today once more. We thought you would not be home so soon, so we agreed to watch his competition. Had we known you would return early, I definitely would not have gone to watch it. Mu Rulin and Mu Yakin nodded. The two were twin sisters. Father Mu and Xuerou went upstairs with grim faces. The four sisters were left staring at one another in the living room. Big sister, do you think our brother is a little? Mu Rulin paused. It took her a while to find a fitting word to describe their newly returned brother. Unusual. His personality is quite unusual. Thinking back on tonight, Mu Wanning nodded in wholehearted agreement. He is not one to take things lying down. He can tear anyone apart with that sharp tongue, but he does not seem to do it deliberately. He is not trying to provoke anyone. He just says whatever is on his mind. He simply does not know how to phrase things tactfully. He is a little too blunt. Then she thought of her other brother's behavior. Her brow could not help but furrow. Mu Xuan truly was too sensitive. If he keeps acting like this, and does not adjust his mindset soon, he will only be the one who suffers. Just as Dad said earlier, even if we have lived with him for over a decade, and our bond makes us favor him, we cannot keep doing it again and again, making our biological brother suffer for his sake. So he must change his mindset. Mu Wanting turned to Mu Yuwei. You are closest to Mu Xuan, and closest to him in age. Talk some sense into him. Tell him to stop overthinking. Now that Mu Chen is back, Mom and Dad will naturally favor him more. That is only natural, but that does not mean they will stop caring about Mu Xuan. He is still Mom and Dad's son. Though Mu Yuwei was young and impulsive, she was certainly no fool. She nodded solemnly. I understand. Also, Mu Wanting's expression turned stern. She assumed the authority of the eldest sister. Treat Mu Chen better from now on. Otherwise, do not blame me for dealing with you. After lecturing her youngest sister, Mu Wanning got up and returned to her room. Mu Ruolin and Mu Yakin exchanged a glance. Let's go. Mu Yuwei was furious. What is this supposed to be? We all did it together. How did it all become my fault in the end? I did not care what the people downstairs thought. I went back to my room and shut the door. My parents had carefully prepared this room. It was exquisitely furnished. Whether the design or the furnishings, everything suited a young boy's taste. Thankfully, it was not pink. Otherwise, in a room like that, I feared I would not sleep all night. The moment I entered, I sensed a faint, unusual ripple in the air. With a gentle wave of my hand, I set a barrier around the room, so no one would notice anything strange and raise needless suspicions. Then someone appeared out of thin air in the room. A man in a black robe, wearing a small ghost mask. The man approached me and dropped to one knee. Your Highness. I frowned at him. Why are you here? The moment I asked, an ominous feeling rose within me. Sure enough, the city lord sent me to deliver a message. Elder sister has returned to Wangsi City. Was she not always at the 6th hall? She has not returned to Wangsi City in so long. I had only just arrived in the human world. So how was she already back in Wangsi City? Before leaving, I had still held on to hope, thinking that once she finished her business, she would report back directly. Elder sister had not even returned to Wangsi City yet, but things did not go my way. I had barely slipped out before she returned right after I slipped away. Remembering her past warnings, a guilty flicker crossed my eyes. Elder sister repeatedly warned me back then. I was never to come to the human world without permission. Any affairs concerning the city had to be discussed first. But I happened to meet Mu Chen, and the timing seemed perfect. While elder sister was away, I arranged everything myself. With elder sister's strict nature, I was afraid I would be in for a scolding this time. Your Highness, the city lord has returned to Wangsi City. She discovered that your Highness came to the human world without permission. The city lord is very angry, so she ordered this subordinate to deliver her message. After speaking, he rose and made a gesture as if presenting a letter. A faint light flashed in midair. An envelope appeared out of nowhere. Then the envelope slowly vanished, and a line of words appeared clearly. They rippled gently in midair, before quickly fading into the air. Though it lasted only a moment, I had seen it perfectly clearly. It looked like a full line of text, but it was only for words. I will arrive soon. This was truly troubling. It would not be good if elder sister came to the human world, would it? The masked man's voice was utterly flat. Your Highness, no one can change the city lord's decision. In other words, I should stop overthinking it and obediently prepare to welcome her. I fell silent at once. The man soon disappeared from the room. Like a deflated balloon, I completely wilted. Elder sister is coming. But how exactly does she plan to come? It would be best if she came as the city lord. Then she certainly could not stay long. That thought rekindled my hope. As for her settling scores with me afterward, I had acted for Wangsi City's sake. Surely she would not be too harsh, considering that. On the 3rd day, when the Mu family came downstairs, they found me watching television in the living room. They all stopped in their tracks. They blinked hard, then glanced at the large clock in the living room. For a moment, everyone fell silent. It was only just past 6 in the morning. Hearing movement behind me, I tore my attention away from the television. I turned to glance at the people coming downstairs, and casually greeted them. Morning. After greeting them, I immediately turned back to the television. I looked so absorbed, as if I did not want to waste even a second. Xuerou froze briefly, then came to her senses. She walked straight over to me, and slowly sat beside me. She first glanced at the screen. The morning news was playing. Xiao Chen, you like watching television so much. Why not let mom have one installed in your room? Then you can watch it in there too. At that moment, Xuerou wanted to stop at nothing, to fulfill her son's every wish. My eyes lit up at once. I was just about to nod in agreement, when Mu Wanning, coming down from upstairs, spoke before I could. Mom, that is not a good idea. If you put a television in little brother's room, what if he gets hooked on it, and refuses to sleep at night? He is still growing. Her words reminded their mother. That is right. At the rate my son is getting absorbed in it, if there were a television in his room, he would definitely watch all night. That absolutely will not do. She quickly changed her mind. Mom did not think this through. This really will not do. We cannot disrupt Xiao Chen's rest. You should watch in the living room instead. Mom can watch with you, and we can discuss the shows together. My wonderful dream of watching television all night was shattered. I shot Mu wanting a resentful look. This eldest sister must really dislike me. She would not even let me have a television. By comparison, elder sister seemed much nicer. Xuerou noticed that her son was unhappy. She found it amusing, but her heart also ached for him. What child these days does not play on a phone? They do not find television special at all. Yet her son found it so fascinating. Who would believe it if she told them? She coaxed me gently. Putting one in your room really is inconvenient. It would affect your sleep too much. Besides, you cannot stay in your room all the time. Your room is for sleeping. If you enjoy it, watch in the living room. No one else in this house likes television, so no one will fight you for it. After thinking it over, I saw her point. I obediently nodded. Then I emphasized one thing. But no one is allowed to fight me for the remote. Xuerou could not help laughing softly. Her eyes were full of affection. All right. Every television in this house is yours alone. Whoever dares fight you for a channel, Mom will deal with her for you. As she spoke, she pointedly glared at the daughters coming downstairs one after another. Mu Wanting's mouth twitched. How long had it been since she last watched television? Why would she compete with her little brother over it? If anyone would fight him for it, it would be fourth sister. Mu Wanting glanced at her fourth sister. Mu Yue instantly reacted as if someone had stepped on her toes. Big sister, why are you staring at me? Do you think I would fight him for a channel? She was not that childish. The moment she jumped up to protest, sitting in the living room, Xuerou, the Mu family's other three daughters, Mu Xuan, who had just come downstairs, and Father Mu all looked at her. I leisurely added another barb. Even if you want to compete with me, you still need to see whether you have what it takes. Xuerou immediately yelled at her youngest daughter. From now on, you are not allowed to fight Xiao Chen over the television. Do you hear me? If I find out you are bullying him, I will have your father take away all your allowance. You will not get to keep a single cent. Mu Yue instantly looked like a sulky little frog. Her cheeks puffed out in indignation. She secretly shot me several glares. I could not even be bothered to spare her a glance. She was so angry she did not even want breakfast. Ordinary children at this age would usually be in their senior year of high school. Mu Xuan was due to take his college entrance exams next June. By rights, Mu Chen should have been as well. But he had spent his life at a Daoist temple, without any formal, systematic education. Yet his age was what it was. Which grade should he start in? Could he keep up if he went straight into senior year? Enrolling him would be easy enough. But deciding which grade he should attend was a headache. The more Father Mu thought about it, the deeper his frown became. He brought up school with me. It would be a good opportunity for me to learn about this world. Mu Xuan's eyes shifted as he thought. Then he suggested with a smile, Dad, why not have Xiao Chen join our class? That way, it will be easier for me to look after him. And I can help him with his studies too. I did not even spare him a look. Father Mu was somewhat tempted by the idea, but he worried his son would not keep up academically. If he fell behind, his grades would be terrible. Mu Xuan had always been an outstanding student. The contrast between the two would be stark. Besides, the Mu family's child witching incident could not be kept from their social circle. They had never intended to hide it anyway. Once everyone knew, they would inevitably compare the two boys. What if it hurt his son's self-esteem? Mu Wanting spoke calmly. Dad, you do not need to worry too much about that. If little brother cannot keep up, we can hire a private tutor for one-on-one lessons. When we have time, we can teach him ourselves. This semester is almost over. Little brother can enroll when next semester begins. He can study hard and catch up in the meantime. I am sure it will not be a major problem. Xuerou's eyes lit up. She clapped her hands excitedly. That is right. Why did I not think of that? We can hire private tutors. Aside from fourth, who is not much of a student, the three of you all have excellent grades. You can definitely tutor Xiao Chen in senior year coursework. With that, she made the decision herself. Let Xiao Chen rest at home for a couple of days first. Then you three sisters can take turns, with each of you tutoring one subject, to help Xiao Chen get familiar with the school curriculum as soon as possible. Mu Wanting nodded. All right, since eldest sister had agreed. Second and third sister nodded as well. For a moment, Mu Yue did not know whether to feel relieved or upset that they had looked down on her. I had originally intended to refuse, but when I saw all three sisters agree, and Xuerou looked so enthusiastic, I silently swallowed my refusal. Mu Xuan bit his lower lip and lowered his eyes, hiding the deep grievance in them. The Mu family's mix-up at birth had long ceased to be a secret in their social circle. His parents had never considered concealing it. They had even planned long ago to hold a banquet once I had settled into my new surroundings, inviting the prominent figures in their social circle. They would openly restore my rightful identity, so no one could ridicule me when I went out in the future, or make me suffer unfair treatment. I did not particularly like such occasions, but I understood it was necessary. Otherwise, outsiders would surely speculate wildly, thinking that I, the real son, wasn't welcome, or even that Mu Chen, the fake son, had overshadowed me. Once I had adjusted somewhat to my new environment, Xuerou could not wait to drag me to the mall for a wild shopping spree. Aside from eldest sister and father, who had work, everyone else was dragged along to shop with me. Only Mu Chen was left behind. Mu Yue sat in the passenger seat, sulking. She kept glaring at me through the rearview mirror. I could not even be bothered to look up. Anyone could guess why she was angry. Mu Chen was the one who did not want to come. Was I supposed to beg him to join us? When we reached the mall parking lot, Mu Yue hurried off to park the car. Mu Ruolin and Mu Yakin accompanied mother and walked into the mall with me. Our shopping spree began. The Mu daughters carried the bags the whole time. Xuerou affectionately linked her arm through mine. As we walked, I suddenly stopped. I tilted my head and listened carefully for a moment. Mom, did you hear that strange noise? I think I heard a dull thud just now, like something fell from high up and hit the ground hard. And it definitely was not an ordinary object. That sound was very distinctive. Xuerou listened closely too. No, I did not hear anything. This is a huge mall. It is incredibly lively. Even if a sound carried over, it would surely just be noise from the crowd. As she spoke, Mu Ruolin noticed something was wrong ahead. Faint screams drifted over in waves. Mom, something seems to have happened up ahead. My eyes flickered. I grabbed Xuerou's wrist. Mom, let us go take a look. Before anyone could stop me, I was already dragging mother toward it at a run. We squeezed through the crowd toward the scene. The sisters were left staring at one another. Why is he so nosy? Mu Yue muttered as she came over after parking. Mu Ruolin gave her a cool glance. If mom hears that, you will get another scolding. Mu Yue rolled her eyes speechlessly. We should hurry after them. If something really has gone wrong, mom and little brother could be in danger. Mu Yakin said steadily. Then she immediately followed them. Mu Ruolin quickly followed as well. Mu Yue trailed behind at an unhurried pace. Xuerou jogged along, pulled by her son. Soon, they reached the gathered crowd. Watching her son force his way into the crowd, the corner of her mouth twitched. Who would have guessed? Cheng usually seemed so distant and aloof, but he actually loved a spectacle this much. Oh my, does that not make him even cuter? But when Xuerou saw the scene ahead clearly, her face went deathly pale. She cried out in terror, instinctively stepping in front of me. Still feeling that was not safe enough, she swiftly turned and covered my eyes. She would not let me see the horrifying scene before us. A serious accident had happened inside the mall. I only wanted to see what had happened. Why was she covering my eyes? I am from the underworld. One look is enough for me to tell how someone died. If they truly died a wrongful death, would they not have to go to my city of the wrongfully dead? Then they would become one of my own subordinates. Sigh. The city of the wrongfully dead is truly getting overcrowded. Mom, I am not a child anymore. I am not scared. I gently lowered Xuerou's hand. I spoke with perfect calm. Xuerou shot me an annoyed look. How are you not a child? You have not even had your birthday yet. What a miscalculation. A dignified 1,000-year-old ghost like me has now become a child. Mu Ruolin caught up and stood in front of me too. I helplessly rubbed my forehead. Mall security arrived at once to handle the situation. They immediately called the police too and summoned an ambulance. They began dispersing the dense crowd of onlookers. Xuerou was not about to let me rubberneck. She practically dragged me away. The incident had clearly affected her. Xuerou had bought nearly everything she wanted, so she decided we should head home. We could come back another day. After something so deadly happened at the mall, the place really felt unlucky. Mom, you all go wait in the car first. I'm going to get some air in the hallway. Xuerou wanted to come with me, but I firmly refused. I am not a 3-year-old toddler. Why would I need a parent hovering beside me just to get some air? Following the signs, I walked to the long corridor. As I stood by a corridor window, a young man approached. He jumped when he saw me by the window, then hurried past with his head lowered. I fixed my gaze on his retreating back. My nostrils flared slightly, and I gently sniffed the air. I caught a faint scent of death. I deliberately lingered by the window. Before long, the man came back. He froze when he saw I was still there. He clearly had not expected me to remain. I calmly waited for him to approach, then carefully sniffed again. I confirmed the scent was coming from him. It was that unmistakable scent of death. Though it was faint, I could not help giving him a long look. What are you looking at? Never seen a handsome guy before? The man noticed my stare at once. Like I had struck a nerve, he snapped at me. Then he hurried away with frantic steps. Everything about his retreating figure screamed guilt and panic. If someone is close to death, they carry a heavy aura of death. That man clearly was not like that. That left only to possibilities. Either he had picked it up from someone else, or he had killed someone himself. There were too many possibilities for the first to conclude anything. The second possibility, however, was far clearer. I could not help thinking of the girl at the mall, who had fallen from above. I calmly clapped my hands and turned to leave. Xuerou waited anxiously in the car. After witnessing something so horrifying, she could not shake a feeling of dread. She feared something might happen to the son she had just found. Only after we safely returned home did her anxious heart finally settle. She soon put the mall incident out of her mind and busied herself sorting through our purchases. As for me, I collapsed onto the sofa the moment we got home, turned on the television, and kept watching with relish. I had practically become a die-hard television addict. Mu Chen and Mu Chen went back to their rooms to study. Both sisters were top students. They would be seniors next year, so their studies had become exceptionally demanding. Mu Yue had the most free time. She sprawled across the living room sofa, seeing Mom busy upstairs. She could not keep her sharp tongue in check. She could not resist sneering. "Hillbilly, what is so interesting about television? You have never seen the world." I kept my eyes glued to the television screen. Hearing her, I nodded. I admitted it without the slightest shame. Yes, I was raised in a Daoist temple deep in the mountains. Of course, I have not seen much of the world. I am the prince of Wangsi city. After my sister dumped all its affairs on me, I was run off my feet. I truly had no time for the trivial affairs of the mortal world. I only knew the general state of things. But now that I have taken Mu Chen's place, I must quickly learn about this world. Watching television seems the fastest way. Without leaving home, I can learn what is happening everywhere. How convenient is that? Mu Yue was left completely speechless. You did that on purpose, did you not? You brought that up deliberately to make us feel guilty. You want us to feel sorry for you. So, your place in this family will be secure. Mu Yue kept babbling beside me. I spared her a contemptuous look. I looked at her as if she were an idiot. From the corner of my eye, I spotted someone coming downstairs. Without a shred of guilt, I loudly tattled on her. "Mom, Mu Yue is insulting me again. She called me a hillbilly and said I was deliberately making you feel guilty, so you would feel sorry for me. She dislikes me this much. Is she trying to force me out of this family?" Mu Yue's eyes flew wide open. She nearly spat blood in fury. Before she could react, someone harshly yanked her ear. "Calm down. Mom, please calm down. Do not listen to his nonsense. I absolutely did not mean that." Mu Yue grimaced in pain, yet still loudly defended herself. I pointed a finger right at her nose. My cheeks puffed out in anger, with just the right hint of grievance on my face. She said it herself. She called me a hillbilly, who had never even seen a television. I already explained it. I grew up in a Daoist temple deep in the mountains. It is normal that I have not seen much of the world. Then she started accusing me. Mu Yue opened her mouth to argue, but she really had said those things. That was not what she meant at all. "You are asking for a lesson. Get over here. I will teach you a lesson today. Do not disturb your brother while he watches television." This time, Xuerou showed no mercy. She dragged Mu Yue aside by the ear. She was determined to set this brat straight. What was wrong with this girl? She adored Mu Xuan so much, treating him like some priceless treasure. Why did she target Chen the moment he returned? Chen was her real brother, her blood brother from the same mother. How could she not know what truly mattered? Clearly, she had not been disciplined enough. I coldly glanced at Mu Yue as she cried out in pain. I did not feel the slightest sympathy. I even gave her a particularly smug look. It nearly made Mu Yue explode on the spot. I finally understood. Among the Mu families for daughters, Mu Yue was by far the dimmest. She was hopelessly stupid. My attention returned to the television. I stared intently at the news channel, as if anxiously awaiting something. Just as expected, the local station reported on the mall incident. At around 11 this morning, there was a fall from an upper floor at downtown Siji Mall. A young woman was critically injured in the incident. Despite rescue efforts, she tragically died. Police are still investigating the cause of her fall. She really died. My eyes narrowed slightly. I could not help recalling the man from the corridor. He was about the same age, and looked extremely panicked and guilty. Most importantly, he carried the scent of death. Could that man be connected to the victim? Had the girl fallen by accident, committed suicide, or been murdered? Had she committed suicide, or was she murdered? I wanted nothing more than to investigate the scene at once, to see whether her lifespan had ended or she had died an unnatural death. But I had only recently returned to the Mu family. I did not know the city at all. Going out alone would be nearly impossible. With that in mind, I had no choice but to put the thought aside for now. After the news report ended, I slowly rose to my feet and leisurely walked over. Seemingly kind-hearted, I urged, "Mom, please stop scolding her." Actually, she was not wrong earlier. Before I could even finish, Mu Yue roared resentfully, "I do not need your fake concern." That stirred up a hornet's nest. Xuerou, who had nearly calmed down, felt her anger surge all over again. "Xiao Chen, do not bother with this brat. She is tough as nails. Even breaking a feather duster on her would not hurt her. Ma made you some nourishing soup in the kitchen. Go see if it is ready." Xuerou deliberately sent her son away. I gave Mu Yue a pitying glance. Then I cheerfully headed to the kitchen for food. Mu Yue thought I was simply gloating. She glared furiously at my retreating back. But Xuerou caught her red-handed. "Mu Yue." Today, Xuerou was determined to break that feather duster on her. I had still been considering how to find the man I met in the corridor that day, when an opportunity came right to my door. The Mu family was holding a grand banquet to formally welcome me back into the family. Keishi's upper-class elite had almost all received invitations from the Mu family. On the day of the banquet, the Mu villa was abuzz with activity. The room shimmered with perfume and glamour, and glasses clinked amid the revelry. Everywhere were impeccably dressed socialites and successful men in sharp suits, gathered in small groups and chatting. I stayed in my upstairs room the entire time. Xuerou was too busy downstairs and planned to come get me when the time was right, so she could formally introduce me to everyone. After changing into my bespoke formal wear, I left my room when the time seemed right. As I passed Mu Zhuan's room, I paused. I tilted my head and listened. It was not as if I meant to eavesdrop. The people inside assumed the noise downstairs would cover them, so they spoke a little louder than usual. Besides, I was no ordinary mortal. With a brief listen, I recognized the voice. The woman speaking with Mu Zhuan was, at least nominally, my aunt by marriage. Because of this grand homecoming banquet, the Mu family members from Cheng had all come as well. That included my uncle's family, who had inherited the Mu company, an ancestral home, along with most of the family's assets, as well as the lofty old Madame Mu. Still, their sincerity seemed lacking to me. The banquet was being held today, yet they only arrived leisurely last night. Old Madame Mu stayed at the Mu villa, while my uncle's family went straight to a downtown hotel. Resting my chin on one hand, I pondered in silence. Mu Zhuan seemed quite close to my uncle's family. From beginning to end, this aunt of mine had given me only the most dismissive glance, followed by a few perfunctory pleasantries. As I considered this, footsteps sounded from inside. I quickly retreated to my own room. After the two of them left the room and went downstairs, I reopened my door and stepped out. Just then, Xuerou came upstairs to get me. When she saw me dressed up, she immediately smiled. Her eyes were filled with affection and admiration. "Xiao Chen, you look so handsome tonight." That was not an exaggeration. Xuerou believed it was likely due to his spiritual training. He had been so removed from worldly troubles that he had developed such a pure, unclouded air. The more she looked at him, the more she adored him. The more she looked, the more her heart ached for him. She silently swore to herself that she would do everything in her power to protect her son, to let him remain just as he was, and keep him carefree for the rest of his life. "It is about time. Let Mom take you downstairs." After a few steps, I pretended to ask casually, "Should we not bring Mu Zhuan along?" "No need. Tonight's banquet is for you. He is with his aunt right now. It is fine. If we call him over, he will probably overthink things again. The child has been very sensitive lately." They did not know how to handle it either. His aunt seems to dote on him greatly. From what I had learned lately, the relationship between my so-called father and his own older brother seemed rather strained. Otherwise, after the family split years ago, he would not have come to Haishi to build everything from scratch. Though they returned to Cheng for family reunions every year, it was purely out of respect for old Madame Mu. So, why his aunt favored Mu Zhuan so much did not strike Xuerou as strange at all. She patiently explained, "You know your father's family situation too. He has an older brother and an older sister. Your uncle and aunt have no sons. Your paternal aunt, however, has a son. But he does not carry the Mu name. I am the only one who gave birth to a precious son like you. That is why." As she spoke, guilt clouded Peizuru's features. The one who should have received all this love and affection should have been her Chen. He was the young master the Mu family should have cherished. But fate had played a cruel trick. Thinking of the past brought another wave of sorrow. I raised an eyebrow slightly. So that was the reason. I had been back with the Mu family for over half a month. Tonight was my first formal appearance. Peizuru and my father stood on either side of me. I slowly descended the stairs. My looks and bearing instantly drew everyone's attention, holding every guest gaze. There was not a trace of timidity or hesitation. The poise in my every gesture made me seem like a young master painstakingly raised by a wealthy, distinguished family. When Mu Chen saw me in the spotlight, his heart suddenly clenched. His eyes stayed fixed on me, unable to hide his disappointment and deep jealousy. "Mu Chen, do not panic. He is only putting on an act. Anyone can put on airs. You are the young master the Mu family raised. Never forget that. You have lived with the Mu family for over a decade. So what if he is their biological son? Feelings take time to build." Lu Manqi noticed Mu Zhuan's emotional turmoil. She soothingly patted the back of his hand and comforted him softly. Mu Zhuan forced a bitter smile. "Auntie, I am fine. I am actually happy for them. Mom and Dad found their biological son. That is wonderful news. I have enjoyed the Mu family's comforts for all these years. When all is said and done, I have wronged Chen." Lu Manqi shot him an exasperated glare and scolded him under her breath. "What does this have to do with you? You were only a baby then. Your parents failed to keep watch over you properly, which led to the two of you being switched at birth. No one can blame you for that. Enough. Put your mind at ease and stop overthinking. I know your parents well. They raised you with devotion for all those years. Even now that their biological son has returned, they will never stop loving you. You need to keep the right mindset. Do not put yourself beneath others. In short, remember this. You did nothing wrong. You have wronged no one. Do you understand?" Mu Chen bit his lip and nodded softly. He said nothing else to irritate her. His parents certainly would not stop loving him. But it could never be the same as before. In the past, at home, even throughout the entire Mu family, whether in Haishi or the capital, he had been the Mu family's only cherished grandson. The whole family had treasured him. They granted his every request. He had filled everyone's eyes and hearts. But now, he keenly felt the enormous difference. Since Mu Chen returned, his parents barely noticed him. Their hearts and eyes held only Mu Chen. Even his sisters were the same. Only his fourth sister still defended him wholeheartedly. The thought made Mu Chen feel terribly wronged. Everything that had once been his, now he had to share most of it with someone else. Who could bear such a stark contrast? While he was lost in thought, Father Mu and Peizuru had already, with great ceremony, introduced me to the guest. They made no effort to hide how much they valued and loved me. Even the Mu sisters stood beside their parents. To everyone watching, the scene naturally carried a very different implication. Mu Chen, the Mu family is going too far. They are over there acting like one big happy family. Why are they leaving you out? Lu Manqi had gone to mingle with the guests. The young heirs who were usually close to Mu Chen gathered around him, indignant on his behalf. "Do not talk nonsense. Tonight is Chen's night. This banquet was held especially for him. He is unquestionably the guest of honor. What would it look like if I went up there too?" It was not that Father Mu and Peizuru had deliberately excluded him. Earlier, Peizuru had suggested that Mu Chen join them on stage. But Mu Chen had refused firmly. He insisted that Mu Chen was the true young master. And this banquet had been arranged specifically for Mu Chen. So he truly should not be standing there. His words sounded perfectly reasonable. After considering it, Peizuru felt that having him stand beside them might not be good for him. There would inevitably be comparisons, which would only make his position more awkward. So the matter was dropped. But although she had let it go, Mu Chen felt wronged all over again. Though that was what he said now, his tone could not hide his disappointment. That made his friends even more indignant for him. "Mu Chen, even if Mu Chen is the real young master, you have been with the Mu family for over a decade. There is no reason for them to push you aside the moment he returns. What difference does one more son make to the Mu family? If we are talking about who came first, he is the outsider who came later. How can you judge this by who came first? He is mom and dad's biological son. He suffered so much in that remote mountain Daoist temple, while I enjoyed every comfort with the Mu family. It is only natural that he resents it. I can understand all that. I will never hold it against him. Mu Xuan put on a magnanimous front. The friend beside him curled his lip disdainfully. The contempt and scorn in his eyes were undisguised. A wild brat raised in a remote mountain Daoist temple. He may not have even seen a television before. I cannot believe such a country bumpkin exists. Between you and that backwoods bumpkin, anyone with a brain knows whom to favor. The Mu family used wealth and influence to carefully raise you into a privileged young master. How could that bumpkin possibly compare to you? If Uncle Mu and Aunt Pei cannot see that, they will regret it someday. Just wait for that bumpkin to disgrace the Mu family and turn them into a laughingstock among high society. Mu Xuan, you cannot be so weak-willed. The more you give in, the easier it is for people to walk all over you. You need to fight for what is yours. Mu Xuan nodded repeatedly. I know. Do not worry about me. No one at home is bullying me. My fourth sister still treats me as well as she always did. His words sounded reassuring, but they were actually meant to stir discord. By saying only that Mu Yue treated him the same as before, was he not indirectly saying that his other three sisters no longer cared for him as much as they once had? Now that they had their biological brother, did they no longer want the boy they raised? Mu Xuan stopped while he was ahead and said no more. It was not as though he truly wanted to do anything terrible. He had simply seen Mu Chen steal the spotlight and suddenly feared that he would quickly fit into their circle, then take away all the attention that belonged to him. So he decided to poison his friends' minds against him first. One person tells 10, and 10 tell 100. Even if it could not truly stop anything, it would at least have some effect, right? As they spoke, they saw the undisputed star of tonight's event, namely me, walking toward them. Their expressions shifted slightly, but they quickly forced themselves to appear calm. They reassured themselves that he had not heard what they said. What was there to fear? Why should they feel guilty? Mu Xuan actually felt somewhat guilty too, so he did not notice that one friend beside him went pale the moment he saw me. He quickly lowered his eyes, his hands unconsciously twisting tightly together, before he abruptly pulled them apart as if burned. He pretended to be natural and composed. You look so handsome tonight. Mu Xuan praised me with a gentle smile. I gave a slight nod. Isn't it only natural that I am handsome? Come to think of it, it was quite a strange twist of fate. His features really did resemble mine somewhat. When I saw Mu Chen's soul in the city of the wrongfully dead, even I was surprised. I never expected this newly arrived unlucky ghost to bear some resemblance to me. Later, after thinking it over carefully, I figured it must have been fate. I accepted the compliment with complete ease. My gaze fell on the man beside Mu Xuan. And this is... Mu Xuan looked somewhat surprised. After glancing at his friend, he introduced him. This is my good friend, Jiang Yan. He is the young master of the Jiang family. Mu Xuan had known Jiang Yan longer than anyone else. They had been inseparable friends since elementary school, remaining close all the way to the present. Oh, so you are young Master Jiang. I deliberately drew out the last word, my tone carrying a hint of deeper meaning. Mu Xuan gave us both an odd look, then asked in confusion, Chen, do you know Jiang Yan? Before I could answer, Jiang Yan impatiently denied it. No, we do not know each other at all. But he was far too eager, which only made him seem highly suspicious. The smile on my face became even more knowing. We really do not know each other. We only ran into each other in a mall corridor a few days ago. I deliberately stretched out my words, but before I could finish, Jiang Yan hurriedly cut me off. I just remembered that I have something urgent to handle. I will be going now. We can get together another day. Without waiting for Mu Xuan to respond, he turned and fled. From the look of his retreating back, he was clearly running away in panic. I had come over intending to test him. I never expected Jiang Yan to be so easily rattled. Was he not practically telling me outright that something was definitely wrong? If there were nothing wrong, why was he panicking like that? With that thought, I could not help turning my gaze to Mu Xuan. Mu Xuan stiffened under my gaze. For no apparent reason, he felt tense and awkward. He stammered, What is it? Your friend. I spoke very slowly, as if deliberately keeping Mu Xuan on edge. Chen, if Jiang Yan ever offended you, please do not hold it against him. He certainly did not mean to offend you. He is actually a good person. I smiled dismissively. It is fine. Since he is your good friend, invite him over to the house sometime. Mu Xuan visibly froze. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but I gave him no chance to speak. Let us make it the day after tomorrow. Invite him to our house. I will have the kitchen prepare in advance and make some exquisite desserts for him. The eldest branch of the family will return to the capital that day as well." My tone was not one of discussion. It was a cold, formal notification. With that, I turned and walked away. I gave Mu Chen no opportunity to refuse. Mu Chen and his friends were left staring at one another, their minds full of questions. I had good reason for keeping an eye on Jiang. Besides the scent of death I smelled on him that day, there were later news reports about it. They said that the girl who fell inside the mall that day had died in an accidental fall. If it truly had been an accidental fall, that would have been one thing. But the problem was that I had clearly sensed resentment. It was the resentment of the girl who had fallen. Although I was now in the mortal world, when a new soul entered the city of the wrongfully dead, I could naturally still sense it. When Yimo had become involved in a dispute and ultimately suffered an accidental fall to her death. But they covered up the truth. Every day, countless people in this world die naturally, while countless others die unnatural deaths. I cannot sense everyone who dies an unnatural death. It takes a particular twist of fate for me to sense them. I suppose it was because, at the mall that day, I happened to be at the scene and had come into close contact with the victim. That was why I keenly sensed her resentment. The city of the wrongfully dead is where those who die unexpectedly remain. Those who die naturally go through the usual process. The underworld then judges them by the lives they led, to determine where they should go next. Most are reincarnated. A few ascend to heaven through their merit. Others are sent to the city of the wrongfully dead, until the end of their allotted lifespan. Those innocently caught up in another's wrongdoing must wait for the truth to come out, and for their resentment to fade before they can reincarnate. But now, the city of the wrongfully dead is overcrowded. Souls that should have reincarnated cannot leave, and can only remain there. Day after day, year after year, many souls still arrive in the city, but fewer and fewer leave. If this continues, the city of the wrongfully dead will cease to exist, and thousands upon thousands of souls will vanish with it. At the root of it all, for some unknown reason, the door of rebirth is closed, and it cannot be opened. Naturally, the ghosts cannot leave. My elder sister and I pondered this problem for a long time. We tried countless methods, but none worked. Later, Kshidagarba Bodhisattva gave us a clue. Only then did my elder sister and I finally understand. That was why I came to the mortal world. My purpose in coming here is to gather merit and faith, reopen the door of rebirth, and restore the city of the wrongfully dead. Now an opportunity has come right to me. I cannot exactly turn it away, can I? No matter how Mu Chen thought about it, he could not figure out what I was truly planning. After the banquet, he brought up the matter with Xuerou. He had thought that, given how much Xuerou now cared about me, she might refuse. Instead, she happily agreed. With Xuerou, he had no way to change her mind. When he ran into Mu outside, his eyes flickered. He greeted her as usual, then looked as if he wanted to speak, but held back. Anyone could see that he had something to say, especially Mu who cared about him. Mu had originally wanted to avoid him. She felt somewhat guilty. She felt Xuan had been wrong tonight, but there was nothing she could do. Xuan had grown up with her. She and her sisters had spoiled him for over a decade. But Chen was her biological younger brother too. She loved them both equally. She could not spare Xuan from feeling wronged by making Chen suffer instead. That was absolutely out of the question. If she dared do that, their parents would throw her out of the family. For a while, she did not know how to face him, so she thought it best to avoid Xuan. But seeing his troubled expression, as if he wanted to say something but was afraid to, she still felt sorry for him. Xuan, is there something you want to tell your fourth sister? Mu Chen bit his lip and hesitated. Fourth sister. Chen. I do not know whether Jiang offended Chen and made him unhappy. If that is true, I am willing to apologize on Jiang's behalf. But Chen, he asked me to invite Jiang to the house. Fourth sister. Do you think Chen is looking for trouble? Mu frowned tightly. She clearly found Chen's behavior strange too. After thinking it over, she said, "It is all right. I have nothing else to do anyway. I will stay home when the time comes. I will not let him do anything reckless." Mu Chen fell silent for a moment. Fourth sister. Could we just forget it? Chen is my younger brother too. Jiang is my good friend. I do not want the two of them to have a conflict. Mu scratched her head. Xuan, you know the situation at home now. If he wants to invite your friend over, Mom and Dad will definitely agree. Not only will they agree, they will be delighted. There is simply no reason to refuse. If she said no, her mother would definitely give her another beating. Seeing Mu Xuan's dejected face, Mu Yue patted her chest and promised, "Do not worry. I will keep an eye on him. I absolutely won't let him bully Jiang Yan." With things having come to this, Mu Xuan had no other choice. There was another reason he wanted to stop it. He had an inexplicable sense of unease. He trusted his instincts, but he couldn't stop it, so he could only think of another way. Overall, tonight's family recognition banquet was a great success. Although old Madame Mu appeared less than warm and happy, she wasn't foolish enough to do anything inappropriate on such an occasion. The entire evening passed peacefully, and all the guests enjoyed themselves. Ever since returning to the Mu family, I had always been free to do as I pleased. That was true in every respect. Xuerou and Father Mu had never demanded that I behave a certain way. They only told me that at home, I should do whatever made me comfortable. Every day, I slept until I woke naturally. There was nothing to do if I got up early anyway. Besides, I stayed up late online every night to learn about this world, so it was only natural that I slept late. No one in the Mu family would criticize me for it, but I forgot there were now a few more people here, and they did not seem to like me much. The moment I came downstairs that morning, someone criticized me. "All the elders are already up, while you are still sleeping this late." When old Madame Mu saw me come downstairs, she rolled her eyes and shot me a sidelong glance. She spoke with obvious displeasure. "Look at our Xuan. He got up early to help prepare breakfast. You should learn from Xuan in that regard. At least show your elders some filial respect." Xuerou was unhappy to hear that. "Mom, there's nothing at home that needs their help. The children can sleep as long as they want. Besides, it isn't even that late. Fourth sister is still asleep. And besides, filial devotion isn't measured by how early someone gets up." Xuerou instinctively defended her son, unaware that by doing so, her words had hurt Mu Xuan. Wasn't she saying that he had deliberately gotten up early and made breakfast just to win everyone over? I remained unmoved. I calmly took my seat, then looked at Mu Xuan with sudden realization and said, "I've been back for quite a while now, but I don't think I've ever had a breakfast you made. Do you make too little, so everyone finishes it without saving any for me? You get up later than I do every day, so you get up first to make breakfast, then go back to sleep afterward." Mu Xuan's face flushed with embarrassment. After I returned, he felt unsettled. Feeling awkward, he avoided me whenever possible, so he always got up late. And since it was vacation, aside from coming downstairs for meals, he spent most of the day in his room. As for breakfast, the house has servants. He is the Mu family's young master. How could he possibly cook often? Grandma praises you so highly, so your breakfast must be delicious. I want to try one tomorrow, I said with a smile. I did not directly demand that Mu Xuan make breakfast, but my meaning was obvious. Old Madame Mu was even more displeased. "There are servants in this house. Why are you ordering Xuan around?" I looked at her, puzzled. "How is that ordering him around? He keeps saying he is my brother. As an older brother, what is wrong with making breakfast for his younger brother? Besides, I only suggested it because I want to show Grandma some filial devotion." Everyone at the table except Xuerou looked like they were listening to me talk nonsense. My expression was utterly serious. Cooking skills take practice. Without practice, how can anyone become a good cook? If he is making breakfast for Grandma, and his cooking is poor, what if something goes wrong? Grandma is so old, her body cannot handle any mishaps. As I spoke, I sighed again, looking utterly selfless. But I am different. I am young, and I have suffered so much before. I am used to it. I can let him practice on me, and be his guinea pig. Even Xuerou's rose-colored view of me shattered. How could Chen say something so shameless? Without changing expression, Mu Xuan was practically driven to tears by my sarcasm. Lu Manqi furrowed her brows tightly. "You child, you are far too headstrong. Your grandmother only criticized you once, yet you talked back 10 times over. Aren't you afraid of upsetting her?" And Xuan, you turned his perfectly good deed into something ugly. She looked at me with clear disapproval. "I know you are resentful. You think Xuan enjoyed your life for all those years, and took what was yours. But Xuan was only a baby then. What could he have known? He is just as innocent as you are. Why do you have to target him? Xuan is gentle by nature. If he says he sees you as his younger brother, then he truly does. Wouldn't it be nice to have another older brother who cares for you? Why make things difficult?" She shook her head, her face full of disappointment. Xuerou was seething inside. She forced herself not to lash out, but her face darkened visibly. Sister-in-law, you misunderstand. Chen is not targeting anyone. He is simply too straightforward. He does not know how to soften his words. He means no harm. Exactly. How could I have any bad intentions? I was not targeting him either. I treat him better than I treat fourth sister. Ask her if you do not believe me. I know he is innocent too. That is why I did not have mom and dad throw him out. I let him remain the Mu family's young master. Isn't that enough? My own kindness moves me to tears. You will never find anyone as tolerant as me. My face was innocent and guileless. I have already done this much. Yet Annie still thinks I am bullying him. Do you want me to give him my identity too? And give him my biological parents as well? I deliberately stressed the words biological parents. Lu Manqi was left completely speechless. What else could she say? Perhaps my expression was too sincere, because even Lu Manqi could not tell whether I had said it deliberately or not. Old Madame Mu was just as speechless. Instinctively, she tried to pull rank as an elder, but I gave her no chance to speak. You are worried I will bully Mu Chen too. Mom and dad say everyone loves him dearly. How about this? Let him live with grandma from now on. He is not a child anymore anyway. He does not need someone caring for him all the time. Living with grandma will let him show her more devotion. He can make her breakfast every day. I tilted my head, pretending to be cute. That way he can be devoted to grandma, and no one will have to worry about me bullying him. It is a win-win. The entire table fell silent. Old Madame Mu and Lu Manqi glared at me. Xuerou did not know what expression to wear. As for Mu Chen, he was naturally terrified. Chen, please stop. Grandma and Aunt Lu did not mean that. They are just worried about me. But I have not suffered any injustice. Mom, Dad, and my sisters still treat me as well as ever. Of course, you have not bullied me either. Do not take Grandma and Aunt Lu's words to heart. If he moved in with Grandma, what would that make him? Wouldn't his position become even more awkward? He is a son of the Mu family. He always will be. He looked pleadingly at the two. The two women truly did care for him. For his sake, they swallowed their anger. At last, the mood at the table returned to normal, though no one had much appetite. Naturally, that did not include me. I ate with great relish. I even had an extra bowl. The thick millet porridge, paired with small side dishes, was light, refreshing, and appetizing. Seeing me like this, the two elders only felt a fire burning in their hearts. On the third day, once the eldest branch of the family and old Madame Mu left, I urged Mu Chen to invite Jiang over. Jiang wanted to refuse, but after thinking of what happened in the hallway, he made up his mind. He came to the Mu residence as promised. Xuerou was very welcoming. She had Mu Chen keep him company, while I arrived late, taking my time. The moment he saw me, the guilty Jiang immediately grew tense. He was even thinking of how to avoid the Mu family, so he could have a proper talk with me. But I did the unexpected. I tipped my chin at Mu Yue and Mu Chen. Give us some privacy. I have something to discuss with Mr. Jiang. Mu Zhuan's face changed. Jiang was his good friend. Yet now I was asking Jiang, his friend, to step aside. Mu Chen, what are you trying to do? If Jiang has offended you, just talk it out. You cannot invite him here only to bully him. I shot Mu Yue a disdainful glance. If you have nothing better to do, use your brain more. It is not there for decoration, or to make you look taller. There are for Mu sisters. The other three seem quite clever, and they know how to read the room. Why is this one so different from the rest? Mu Yue was furious. She opened her mouth, wanting to argue, but I called out loudly, Mom. Mu Yue flinched. She reflexively clamped her mouth shut. Hearing me call, Xuerou hurried out. Chen, what is it? Mom, I want to take Mu Zhuan's friend to the garden. Is that okay? Xuerou did not find it strange at all. Instead, she smiled and said, Go ahead. The sun is strong right now. Be careful not to get sunburned. Mu Chen quickly added, I will come too. He truly was worried. He was convinced I had an ulterior motive for inviting Jiang over. I was not about to spare anyone's feelings. I refused outright. No need. We will be right back. You should stay and keep her company. I glanced at Mu Yue, my tone dripping with sarcasm. She stayed home specifically to make sure no one bullied you. With that, I turned and walked away. I was not worried Jiang would refuse to follow. Mu Yue looked embarrassed, but inwardly she became even more convinced her biological brother was a calculating schemer. Just listen to what he had said. Wasn't he trying to turn Mom against her? He was implying that she suspected him of bullying Xuan, which was why she had stayed home. What a schemer. What do you want with me? Jiang watched me warily. Before I could answer, he quickly continued. I do not know what you are trying to do. I did not offend you in the hallway that day either. Is this all because I glared at you once? I cut him off. What is your connection to the woman who fell to her death? Did you have contact before it happened? Or, I slowly turned around, tilting my head. My clear eyes seemed to see through everything. Was the incident actually connected to all of you? It wasn't me. Jiang Yan's face changed drastically. He denied it in a shrill voice. But his eyes could not hide a flicker of fear and panic. You know better than anyone whether I am talking nonsense. It was an accident that was covered up. She lost her life because she got caught up in it. Tell me, what if I went to the police? Jiang Yan's words had already revealed something important. I spread my hands. Why would I need evidence? All I need to do is say the word, and someone will naturally look for evidence. If something like this got out about Mr. Jiang, I wonder whether it would hurt your reputation. You are threatening me. Do not think being the young master means I am afraid of you. Compared to Xuan, what are you? Do you think you can replace Xuan? Dream on. Xuan has lived with the Mu family for more than a decade. You cannot compare to the bond he has with them. I looked at him in confusion. Why would I compare myself to Mu Chen? He is the adopted son. I am their biological son. Why would a biological son replace an adopted one? It is not like there is something wrong with my head. And let me correct you. I am not threatening you. I am reminding you. If you do not want anyone to know, do not do it in the first place. That was a living, breathing human life. Do you think closing the case makes everything fine? After saying that meaningfully, I turned and left. I had only questioned him to save time. Even if I said nothing, once that girl's resentment became strong enough, my identity would bring her to my door. Jiang Yan did not take my words to heart at all. Mu Chen wanted to ask what I had said. That made Jiang Yan storm off in anger, and whether I had really bullied him. But judging by my expression, he felt that if he dared ask, I would tear into him until he wished the ground would swallow him. I was still wondering how long it would take for the matter to blow up, but it happened far faster than expected. When I saw the uproar online, it suddenly seemed perfectly natural. I had learned a lot from watching television every day. Everything moves fast in this society. Once something reaches the internet, it works better than any publicity. I figured this really was the fastest way. Perhaps because she had seen the girl at the mall. Peizu sighed as she watched the news. I thought it was just an accident. I never expected it to turn into something like this. If what her parents said is true, then it is truly heartbreaking. The young woman who fell was only 25. She was so young. I heard she was an only child too. And just like that, she was gone. No wonder her parents cannot accept it. They are determined to make a big issue of it. If her own son had died without any explanation, she would go mad too. Thinking that, Peizu felt grateful that she had found Chen. They still had a long life ahead of them. Mother and son still had plenty of time together. The deceased parents told the media that their daughter had been obedient and quiet, with few friends and an ordinary family background. She was never one for expensive spending. Unlike others her age who loved shopping, she rarely bought things for herself. She gave them all the money she earned from work, for household expenses, keeping none for herself. Her life revolved around work and home. Yet she fell from an upscale mall, a place she could never afford. She had seemed a little unusual before leaving that day, but they had not thought much of it then. They never imagined this would be the outcome. At first, they thought it was an accident. Only while sorting through her belongings did they uncover a secret. Their daughter had been treated unfairly, so they suspected her death was no accident. They wanted the truth and justice. Mu Zhuan's eyes darted away. He did not dare look directly at the parents on the television. His hands were clasped over his knees, rubbing them together. His face had gone unnaturally pale. I noticed his expression change when he saw the news. His expression was very strange. Thinking of his connection to Jiang Yan, a thought struck me, and I suddenly spoke. Why are you so nervous? Did you know the victim? Or have you done something shameful? Mu Chen seemed startled. He jerked his head up and glared at me, sharply retorting. Chen, what nonsense are you saying? No matter how dissatisfied you are with me, you cannot make accusations like that. Peizu froze for a moment, then flinched at his shrill voice. Xuan, did you know that poor girl? Could she be related to one of your classmates? That was not impossible. Xuan attended a private high school. The tuition was expensive. Every year, the school admitted outstanding students who usually came from ordinary families, unable to afford tuition but academically exceptional. Maybe she was a classmate's relative. Mu Zhuan's face changed again, ever so slightly. If you have nothing to hide, why can you not say it? You and that Mr. Jiang are both acting strangely. The moment this comes up, you both evade the subject like you are guilty. You may as well have written, "We are involved," across your faces. You have seen the news. This has already become a huge scandal. It will be easy to uncover the truth once they investigate. You might as well explain it now, so we can figure out how to handle it. Xuerou had not believed it at first, but seeing her adopted son's expression, her heart suddenly sank. Xuan, Mom, I really did not do anything. Mu Chen grew anxious. Chen may not know what kind of person I am. But do you not know either, Mom? I am the son you raised for more than a decade. Seeing him put on that aggrieved look again, I wanted to roll my eyes. Stop pretending. You are protesting too much. Even if you did not do it, you are definitely connected to it. I wanted to see how much longer they could keep this up. I got up and went upstairs. Mu Zhuan's face alternated between red and pale. He was so furious that tears began to fall. Mom, you saw it too. Ever since Cheng came back, I have yielded to him at every turn. I know I have no right to compete with him, nor should I compete with him. I want to get along with him too, and honor you and Dad together. But he cannot stand me. No matter what I do, he finds fault with me. Jiang stormed off today. I do not even know what Chen did to him. Mom, tell me, what do I have to do? Otherwise, maybe I should move out. I am not an adult yet, but I think I can support myself. You have raised me all these years. You have already shown me such immense kindness. I cannot ask for anything more. It was as though he wanted to pour out all his fear and worry, his grievance and resentment. Covering his face, he wept bitterly. Xuerou's heart ached at the sight. She loved both boys equally. Chen was her biological son. Of course she loved him. But Xuan had been by her side for over a decade. He was not her blood, but he was like her own child. She was not naive enough to expect the two of them to truly love each other. It was enough if they could live in peace. Besides, Chen had said he did not mind letting Xuan stay. Still, Chen really was too blunt. He did not know how to soften his words. His family could overlook it at home. But what would he do out in the world? Her thoughts drifted off course. Mu Chen kept crying, but received no comfort. He choked back a sob and glanced up. He grew even more upset and aggrieved. At a time like this, Mom was actually distracted. This time, he was truly hurt. The moment I returned to my room, I sensed something unusual. With a flick of my little hand, I set up a barrier. Come out. After a long while, a hazy figure floated out, trembling. The moment my gaze swept over her, she immediately shrank into a corner. She was already a ghost, yet still so timid. No wonder a few spoiled rich kids bullied her. I seriously doubted someone this cowardly would be any better after becoming a ghost. What could she possibly do? Could she really trigger some fateful opportunity? I had serious doubts. How did you find this place? Speak, or I will throw you out. Frightened, the figure hurriedly said, I am Yimo. I had an accident at the mall a few days ago. Her voice fell as she said it. It took her days to accept the truth. It was unbelievable, but she had no choice but to accept it. When I fell that day, I knew I would not survive. Even if I had lived, I would have been severely injured. My family could not afford the medical bills. Maybe it was better to die outright. For a moment, she did not know whether to feel relieved or resentful. So, what do you want to do? Revenge? When Yimo froze. Revenge? Can I still get revenge? Why come to me if you do not want revenge? If you did not want revenge, you would not linger among the living. I cannot let go of my parents. I believe you have seen your parents too. You were their only daughter. Now you are simply gone. They will not let this go. They look ready to fight to the bitter end. After a long silence, when Yimo murmured, they cannot win against those people. Her voice trembled faintly. I began to understand. It was not that she did not hate them or want revenge. She had simply been bullied for too long. The trauma had been branded onto her soul. Even as a ghost, she was still afraid of people. It showed how deeply she had suffered, the oppression that power could bring. Can you help me? I know you are different. You can help me, cannot you? She suddenly looked up at me pleadingly. She had no idea who this boy before her was. Why could he see her? And he was not frightened in the slightest. He had to be someone extraordinary. She felt an unseen force drawing her to him. So he could help her, could he not? I smiled faintly. How do you want me to help? That question left her speechless. Yes, how should he help? She had no idea herself. So how could she ask someone else? Did she not hate them? Of course she did. Her fall had not been an accident at all. It was an altercation that had been covered up. When it happened, beyond terror and despair, she had felt deep, bitter hatred. Why did they treat her this way? Unable to stand by while those spoiled rich kids bullied someone, she stepped forward to stop them and scold them. Why had that led to her dying in vain? She worked at a milk tea shop. Those spoiled rich kids often came there for drinks. One day, they started making trouble in the shop. When she tried to stop them, they cursed and threatened her. Furious, she deliberately claimed she had video footage. She said she would post it online if they continued. Only then did they back down and stop bullying people. She thought it was just a minor incident. Never did she imagine she had provoked demons. From then on, they began taking revenge on her. At school, they deliberately isolated and excluded her. They enlisted others to spread rumors and slander her, humiliating her. When she tried to quit, they threatened her boss. They found her address and harassed her parents. They stuffed her desk full of trash. They kept deliberately destroying her study materials. She thought she only had to endure until they got bored. She never expected it would cost her life. Afterward, all they called it was an accidental fall. The truth was buried and ignored. Remembering it all, her resentment surged. The air in the room began to stir. The curtains fluttered, and the tassels on the lampshade swayed. They rustled noisily. I want them to taste this suffering. I want them to get the punishment they deserve. I rested my chin on my hand. The punishment they deserve. Send them to prison? That would not be difficult. The hatred in Yimo's heart was stirred. Her timidity vanished, replaced by a chilling coldness. Her features twisted slightly. Prison. Their families would never let them go to prison. Even if they did, it would not be for long. My life, in exchange for a few years behind bars. Is my life worth so little? She could not accept that. Then how about a life for a life? I said it casually, as if it were the simplest thing in the world. When Yimo froze for a moment, the seething resentment around her paused. If that were possible, it would be best. But, can you do it? She asked cautiously. If it could be done, that would be best. Why should she be gone, while others go on living as if nothing happened? Was her death supposed to mean nothing? The law and justice might not make up for it. I smiled faintly. Of course I can. Joy burst from Yimo's eyes. Can you really help me get revenge? If I avenge you, can you leave in peace? She nodded, then hesitated, her face filled with loneliness and sorrow. I can let go of my hatred, but I cannot let go of my parents. I am their only child. After thinking for a moment, I said, your parents are not that old. Perhaps they can have another child. She never expected to hear that. Thinking of her parents' ages, they really could have another child. If so, she could finally rest easy. Then, when will you help me get revenge? What price must I pay? My eyes flickered. I smiled meaningfully and said, do not worry. I will not help you for nothing, but I will not ask for anything you cannot bear. We will discuss payment once this is over. I am not an ordinary person. Naturally, what I want is no ordinary thing. When Yimo nodded without hesitation, then you'll have to wait. This requires the right opportunity. She nodded, then remembered something and asked anxiously, can you help protect my parents? I am from the underworld. I am not some god in the heavens. I deal with the affairs of the dead, not the living. When I fell silent, her eyes reddened. If you cannot, then forget it. Seeing how pitiful she looked, I said, do not worry. Your parents should be all right. This matter has become quite serious. If anything happens now, things will spiral out of control. Mom, I am heading out, I said to Xuerou. Xuerou paused in surprise. Heading out? Where are you going? I will have the driver take you. No need. I'll take a taxi. It would be inconvenient with the driver tagging along. But, Chen has not gone out alone since he came back. He is unfamiliar with Siji, too. Going out all by himself. What if he gets lost? I saw her concern. Mom, it is fine. I know the way. Besides, I can just give the taxi driver the address. There is nothing to worry about. Still, no. There are too many bad people out there these days. How about this? I will have your fourth sister go with you. Handle whatever you need to handle. Your fourth sister can run errands for you, too. She quickly had someone wake Mu Yue, who was still sleeping in. The moment Mu Yue heard her mother, she exploded. Mom, I am his sister, not his little sidekick. If you are worried about him, Just have the driver go with him. Why do I have to go out with him? I will not do it. As she shouted, she shot me a glare. I gave her a sidelong glance, my expression full of disdain. Do you think I want you tagging along? Mom is the one worried. She insists you come with me. Mom, look at him. Furious, Mu Yue pointed at me. Peizu slapped her hand down. You are going, whether you like it or not. You said yourself that you are Xiao Chen's sister. Go with your brother while he handles something. And you have this many complaints. What are you trying to do? Peizu's face darkened. She fixed her with a stern gaze. Mu Yue recoiled beneath that look. Her defiance immediately faded. It is settled then. Hurry and eat breakfast. Xiao Chen is about to leave. Tears in her eyes, she resentfully went to get ready. Where exactly are you going? In the car. Mu Yue asked with a dark expression. There was free labor available. So, why not make use of it? Without the slightest guilt, I instructed her. Keep driving. I will tell you where to go. I was plainly treating her like my chauffeur. Mu Yue was furious, but there was nothing she could do. Following my directions, she drove all over the place. The surroundings grew more unfamiliar, and the roads grew narrower. Even she was completely baffled. After living in Haishi for so many years, she had never known a place like this existed there. Mu Yue obediently parked the car. It was outside a rundown residential complex. Sitting in the driver's seat, she looked outside. Deep confusion welled up inside her. All right, wait here for me. I got out and slammed the door. After tossing out those words, I left. I gave Mu Yue no chance to ask anything. She had wanted to ask what I was doing, but my attitude was infuriating. In a fit of anger, she decided not to care anymore. I entered the residential complex without trouble. Without slowing down, I headed straight for one of the buildings. The old complex had very little greenery. Its exterior walls were badly weathered. There was not even an elevator. Even the stairwell showed signs of decay. I climbed upward until I reached the 4th floor. Then I turned left. On the 4th floor, I faintly heard crying. Just as I thought, it came from the Wen family's home. Standing outside the Wen family's door, I raised my hand and knocked. I needed to find an assistant as soon as possible. I am the young lord of the city of the wrongfully dead. How had I fallen so low that I had to do everything myself? It did not suit my status as young lord. The sounds inside stopped. Then came footsteps. Soon, a voice called from behind the door. Who is it? I am Wen Yimo's friend. The room fell quiet for a moment. Then the door opened a crack. Someone peered at me through the gap. Seeing how young I was, they relaxed somewhat. Are you Xiaomo's co-worker? I nodded. Only then did the person inside open the door and let me in. Once inside, I did not waste words. Wen Yimo was killed. Wen Yimo's parents were not old, but they had aged rapidly after losing their daughter. Their hair had once been jet black, but now it was streaked with silver. The lines on their faces had deepened, too. Their eyes were filled with grief and pain, and hatred they struggled to suppress. How do you know? How do you know Xiaomo was murdered? Do you know something? Tell us, quickly. Mrs. Wen had been listless, but my words immediately stirred her. She grabbed my hand. I can see Wen Yimo, and I can help you. Mr. and Mrs. Wen froze. They did not understand what I meant. Their daughter was already dead. What did he mean when he said he could see her? To uncover the truth, they had refused to cremate her and left her body in the morgue. Could this young man have gone to the morgue? The couple had that absurd thought. I can see your daughter's soul. I can help fulfill your wish, I said. Mrs. Wen's sobs abruptly stopped. She looked at me through her tears, her expression dazed. Their wish, of course, was to find the person who killed their daughter and make the killer face justice. No, that was not enough. If they only spent a few years in prison, that would be nowhere near enough. How could a few years behind bars compare to the life of our Xiaomo? Whoever killed Xiaomo should pay a terrible price. Intense hatred churned in Mrs. Wen's eyes. Whatever you wish for, I can make it happen for you, but you will have to pay a price. I made myself perfectly clear. Besides merit, I also need to gather humanity's deepest feelings and truest nature, its utmost sincerity and goodness, its greatest compassion and righteousness. The gate of rebirth leads to new life. Life means a beginning. It means hope and joy. Death means an ending. It means despair and sorrow. Life and death are part of one cycle, and within that cycle, there is so much selfishness and greed, hypocrisy and malice. I need to gather these things to cleanse resentment and keep it in balance. After hearing me, Mrs. Wen did not hesitate. Whatever you want, As long as you can truly help us, I will give you anything, even my life, if that is what you want. I smiled. It is not that serious. I told them everything I had learned from Yimo, revealing it all to the couple, without concealing a thing. After hearing it, the couple broke down in grief once more. I could only sigh softly. Parting from the living and the dead truly is the hardest thing in this world to accept. Weeping, Mrs. Wen suddenly dropped to her knees. She struck her head hard against the floor. I want them to pay the price. I want them to live in regret for the rest of their lives. Alongside their overwhelming hatred, Mr. and Mrs. Wen were also consumed by guilt and regret. Why had they not noticed something was wrong sooner? If they had learned of their daughter's predicament earlier, they would have made her quit her job. They could have taken her somewhere else. Mr. Wen fought hard to contain himself, but tears still streamed down his face. He tightly covered his face with one hand, unable to hide his grief and remorse. Me too. I want them to pay what they deserve. I told Mr. and Mrs. Wen to wait for my news, then walked out of the building. Through the car window, I saw Mu Yue asleep, her mouth hanging, half open. She was clearly sleeping soundly. The corner of my mouth twitched. And she calls herself my sister? I would not even want her as a little sister. I was about to knock on the window and wake her, but stopped halfway. I had been wondering how to shake Mu Yue off. Having her with me all the time was inconvenient. Since she was asleep, I would let her keep sleeping. So I turned away. Mu Yue kept sleeping soundly in the car. Fulfilling Yimo's parents' wish would not be difficult. With my abilities, I could do it without anyone knowing, and teach those people a painful lesson. But that was not what Yimo's parents truly wanted. For now, I needed to expose the truth first. Thinking of what Yimo had endured, even I could not stop myself from sighing. If this matter does not end well, who will dare to do good deeds in the future? What has this world come to? Society is advancing at a rapid pace, but human nature has not improved with the economy. Instead, people have become ever more selfish. Perhaps this materialistic society has drawn out the ugliest side of human nature. I thought of my younger days. When I was about the age of these kids, I was already a man who could stand tall on his own, ready to build a family and career, ready to support an entire household. My expression stiffened slightly. A flicker of confusion crossed my face. My past? How long had it been since I last thought of it? It had been far too long. I had forgotten it completely. I was not always the young lord. I vaguely remembered that before becoming young lord, I had been an ordinary person in the mortal world. After I died, I entered the city of the wrongfully dead. It was all too long ago. I had forgotten how I came to become the young lord of the city of the wrongfully dead. The thought passed in an instant. My figure gradually vanished. The pedestrians showed no reaction. Everyone was hurrying along. No one noticed the young man beside them suddenly disappeared into thin air. I thought I would finish quickly, but I never expected it would drag on until late. I got so busy that I even forgot about Mu Yue. Once I was done, I went straight home. The moment I entered, I sensed something was wrong in the living room. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Before I could speak, Xuerou hugged me. Her voice was thick with worry. You're finally back. You scared me to death. I thought something had happened to you. Mr. Mu was equally anxious. The moment he saw me, he visibly relaxed. He kept saying, as long as you're back. He had been scared out of his wits. He thought his son had run off on his own. I blinked. A moment later, I realized what was going on. I was about to explain, but Mu Yue, who had been scolded all evening and had worried all day, was furious. She shouted at me, Mu Chen, are you out of your mind? Couldn't you tell someone where you were going? Do you know we thought something had happened to you? Do you know we searched for you all day? Her shouting made me shrink back. I did feel somewhat guilty. You shut up. Xuerou held me close, then turned and fiercely glared at her fourth daughter. You must have upset Chen. That's why he left without saying a word. You're always picking on Chen. How many times have I told you? Chen is your biological little brother. Your real brother. Her mother's unreasonable words angered Mu Yue so much she nearly exploded. Mom, can you please be reasonable? I didn't do anything today. Mu Yue yelled loudly. The two of them were about to start arguing. I hurriedly stepped in. Mom, don't be angry. Let me explain. This really wasn't fourth sister's fault. She truly didn't do anything. She didn't even argue with me. Then why did you leave her behind and go off alone? You haven't been here long. You aren't familiar with the city yet. Without someone with you, you could easily get lost. More importantly, Chen barely knows how to use a phone. If he got lost, He wouldn't even know how to use the navigation. I answered honestly. I had something to take care of. I told fourth sister to wait for me in the car. When I came back, I saw that she'd fallen asleep. I thought she might have gotten up too early and hadn't slept enough. So I thought I'd let her sleep a little longer. That explanation only makes it worse. Is he doing this on purpose? I paid no attention to her fierce glare. I continued honestly. Then I left. I thought I would finish quickly and come back. Maybe she would still be asleep when I returned. I didn't expect it to take longer than planned and drag on until now. I hadn't really meant for Mu Yue to get scolded. I hadn't expected things to turn out like this either. Then why didn't you answer your phone? Mu Yue continued demanding answers. I reached into my cloth bag and rummaged around. I pulled out a phone, then looked around with a puzzled expression. I didn't hear it ring. Xuerou was the one who got me this phone. She even reminded me before I left today. But I really didn't hear a sound. Mu Yue snatched the phone from me. She lit up the screen, then laughed in exasperation. She shoved the phone in front of my face. Can't you see? Your phone is set to silent. I glanced at the phone and blinked innocently. I really don't know how to check it. I've never used a phone before. How was I supposed to know you could make it silent? Mu Yue was about to keep going, but Xuerou wrapped her heart on the forehead with her knuckles. She clutched her forehead and cried out in pain. If you hadn't fallen asleep in the car, would he have thoughtfully avoided waking you and gone to handle it himself? So, when all is said and done, this is your fault. I told you to help him. But what did you do? You slept like the dead in the car. Your allowance for this month is forfeited. Xuerou declared outright. What? You're taking away my allowance. It's only been 3 days this month. After that, Xuerou looked at the other children. She warned them. If any of you dare give her money behind my back, I'll take away your allowance next month. As for Mu Wanting, she shot her eldest daughter a sit-along look. If you dare give Yue any money, I'll arrange a blind date for you immediately. Mu Wanting's face changed. She hurriedly answered solemnly. Don't worry, Mom. I won't. I'll keep an eye on everyone else too. And make sure they don't fund fourth sister. Big sister. Mu Yue wailed. Mu Wanting gave her a helpless, pitying look. Fourth sister. Don't blame your big sister for being heartless. Better you than me. Fourth sister. Where did you and Cheng go today? Downstairs, Mu Xuan hadn't dared defy Xuerou. Once everyone had returned to their rooms, he sneaked back out. He went to find Mu Yue. After comforting her, he asked with feigned curiosity. The mention of me filled Mu Yue with rage. This biological little brother was practically her nemesis, like he'd come to collect a debt from her. But when facing Mu Xuan, she patiently told him what had happened. But where he went afterward, and what he did, she had no idea. Mu Xuan frowned after hearing this. Forget Mu Yue. Even he had no idea what that place was. People like them usually only frequented upscale places. Of course, they would never go somewhere so rundown, much less know anything about it. He thought it over with furrowed brows. When nothing came to mind, he had to let it go. Back in his room for some reason, he couldn't stop thinking about it. Just then, Jiang called. After they talked for a while, he recalled his friend coming to the house. He couldn't help mentioning it to his friend. To his surprise, Jiang cried out in alarm. Did he go to Wen Yimo's house? Wen Yimo. The name hit him like a blow. Mu Xuan's mind went blank for a moment. His grip on the phone tightened. What would Mu Chen be doing at Wen Yimo's home? Mu Chen doesn't even know Wen Yimo. Jiang gritted his teeth. With no other choice, he told Mu Xuan what had happened that day. Mu Xuan sucked in a sharp breath. His limbs went weak. He hadn't expected Jiang to be there that day too. Yan, did you? Mu Xuan's throat tightened. The moment he asked, his heart leaped into his throat. His mind began racing. If he really was implicated in this, what would they do? He hadn't been there that day. But the bullying incidents now had already been exposed by her parents. If they investigated thoroughly, but he soon calmed down. He kept reassuring himself. He had never bullied Wen Yimo. At most, he had only played a minor role. Mu Xuan quickly recalled everything he had done. Had he left behind any obvious flaws? Anything others could use against him? Xuan, are you listening to me? Jiang had spoken for ages without hearing a response. He called to him again, puzzled. Mu Xuan snapped out of it. He steadied himself and said, I'm listening. Yan, what are you going to do about this? When Yimo's parents don't seem willing to let this go, what if they? Jiang quickly cut him off. Nothing will happen. Neither the school nor our parents want this to blow up. At most, they'll drag a few people out, make them properly admit their mistakes, apologize to them, and pay some compensation. That'll settle it. Besides, it was those college students who did it. None of us actually did anything. Their parents have reputations to protect too. The school has its reputation to protect too. Mu Zhuan's brow remained tightly furrowed. He had a feeling it wasn't that simple. The mall's surveillance footage. Jiang Yan wasn't worried about that. He'd had it wiped long ago. No one would uncover it. His father had good connections with everyone at the mall. Deleting surveillance footage took only one phone call. Even without those connections, surely no one would dare offend the Jiang family. I'm only worried that Mu Chen knows something. That day, I was panicking. When I ran into him in the hallway, the way he looked at me, and when he invited me to your house that day, the things he said, it was as though he'd figured something out. That was why Jiang Yan had been so unsettled. Even with Mu Zhuan, Jiang Yan didn't dare say too much. At Jiang Yan's words, Mu Zhuan couldn't help remembering that day, and what I'd said to him when I saw the news. His handsome face immediately went pale. Maybe Mu Chen really did see who was behind it. Even if I hadn't seen who it was clearly, I must have seen them bullying someone. If he told anyone about this, at the thought of the consequences, Mu Zhuan could no longer sit still. He forced himself to calm down. Yan, Mu Chen may really have seen something. That day, he even asked whether I'd been involved in what happened to Yimo. But he doesn't seem to have told my parents. Hurry and find a way to tell the others. Tell them to. Let them pray for themselves. Mu Zhuan's words made Jiang Yan even more panicked. He hurriedly ended the call. Then he immediately called his usual friends. Mu Zhuan clenched his teeth. Thinking back on what had happened, he couldn't help feeling some regret. So what if when Yimo had helped that pathetic loser? She could help him once, but not forever. Why did they have to keep picking fights with her? Back then, it was simply the way she stood. The way she looked, that had been so irritating. As if she were some champion of justice, and they were demons. That was why he had said a few things to egg their classmates on. He only wanted to teach her a lesson, so she'd stop meddling in the future. But he truly hadn't expected things to escalate to this point. The more he thought about it, the more he silently blamed those people. He told them to get a little revenge, but they got carried away. They just wouldn't leave Yimo alone. They just picked on someone they thought was weak. Now look what happened. They pushed her too far. And Yimo, if she hadn't said she'd recorded them back then, and was going to expose them, he wouldn't have acted on impulse. Mu Zhuan began considering my part in this. He thought I might have seen what happened at the mall, but couldn't possibly know the full story. He doesn't even know how to use a phone. What could he possibly know? It was a nice thought, but reality was cruel. By the third day, the internet was flooded with news reports. What terrified him even more was that the surveillance footage that had supposedly been deleted was all leaked online. Even footage of when Yimo being harassed and humiliated before had been unearthed. When he came downstairs, he found me sitting on the sofa again, just as expected. I was staring at the television, and the news was covering this very incident. The familiar scenes on the screen nearly made him unable to catch his breath. His legs went weak. As Mu Zhuan's heart raced with fear, Xuerou walked over. She saw him leaning against the banister, pale-faced. Something was clearly wrong. She hurriedly asked, Xuan, what's wrong? Why do you look so pale? Are you sick? Her voice caught my attention. I turned to look. My eyes met Mu Zhuan's panicked gaze. Realizing something, I gave him a meaningful smile. Mom's asking you something. Mu Zhuan's lips trembled. Mom, I'm fine. Xuerou gave him a strange look. Then, seeing the news I was watching, she asked with concern. Chen, you seem very interested in this news. Why is that? I answered frankly. Didn't you and Dad plan to send me to this school? Then I should learn more about the people and events connected to it. Xuerou shuddered. Only then did she suddenly realize something. That's right. If students at this school could do something like this, bullying people outside school, what might they do to their own classmates? Chen was going to attend a school like that. If something happened, Xuerou didn't dare think any further. Even though her husband had only just left, she immediately went to make a call. No, you can't go to this school. And Xuan, you need to transfer to. At a school like this, they can't even guarantee your safety. How can you possibly study there? I'll transfer both of you to another school. Mu Zhuan was dumbfounded. How had transferring schools suddenly come up? He had never considered changing schools. He was already familiar with his current school. His friends and social circle were here. To suddenly switch schools. Besides, They were already halfway through their final year of high school. Changing schools at a time like this. Did they still expect to get into college? Mu Chen wanted to say something, but he knew he probably couldn't change his mother's mind. So he turned his gaze to me, hoping I would try to persuade her. As for which school I attended, I didn't really care, so I didn't even glance his way. Mu Chen could only watch helplessly as his mother made the call. After footage of the Yimo incident was exposed, all sides acted quickly. The school promptly issued an apology, promising to strengthen students' moral education. The milk tea shop owner wept bitterly as well. Most of the students involved came forward to apologize. Tears and snot streamed down their faces before the cameras, looking utterly remorseful. When Yimo gritted her teeth in my room, watching the people apologize on screen, they aren't sincere at all. They don't think they've done anything wrong. I nodded slightly. Yes, most of them weren't genuinely admitting fault, let alone feeling remorse. If this hadn't been exposed, if people online hadn't reacted so fiercely, demanding answers and condemning them, with public outrage growing so great, neither they nor their parents would have apologized. They certainly wouldn't have taken this to heart. To them, she was just an ordinary person who was already dead. She was dead already. What else was there to discuss? Others couldn't see it, but I could see them saying such things. They looked remorseful and sincere on the surface, but their eyes revealed their indifference, even anger and resentment. Of course, they resented the people who had forced them into this. How humiliating this was for them. To them, when Yimo's life meant less than their pride. Before her death, when Yimo was filled with grief and rage, along with profound confusion, she truly couldn't understand. What had she done wrong? Was it wrong to be kind and stand up for justice? She had only tried help out of kindness, yet they had baselessly ostracized her. Those people used their influential families to pressure her, destroying her peaceful life. That day, an argument broke out at the mall. She accidentally fell from an upper floor. With one loud crash, everything ended. Now they claimed they knew they were wrong, begging everyone to give them another chance. But who would give her a chance? They hadn't given her one in the first place. The more when Yimo thought about it, the more her suppressed resentment threatened to spiral out of control. The room's temperature dropped sharply. Chilling gusts swept through, making everything sway wildly. I looked up at the swaying chandelier and quickly spoke to soothe her. I'll let you vent your anger in person. As though someone had hit pause. The commotion in the room immediately stopped. Let me deal with them myself. No, I can't get close to them. When Yimo frowned, of course she wanted revenge herself, but for some reason, she couldn't get near them. She could only watch from afar. Whenever she got too close, she was blocked. Otherwise, she would have torn them apart long ago. You may not have a way, but that doesn't mean I don't. They've done terrible things. It's no surprise Ghost would come knocking at midnight, I said calmly. Perhaps their guilty consciences were truly at work. After when Yimo died, a few of them really were frightened. They started wearing protective charms, especially the person who caused her fall. Though they soon stopped taking it seriously, they still felt somewhat guilty. They wore a consecrated jade pendant. When Yimo had been gentle in life, she couldn't become a vengeful spirit overnight after death. So it was only natural that she couldn't approach those people. There was nothing strange about that, but none of that works on me. When Yimo instantly perked up. If that's possible, that would be wonderful. But remember one thing. You can't directly harm anyone. Sometimes death isn't revenge. It's a release. If you take a life, you won't be able to reincarnate peacefully. I warned her with utmost seriousness. When Yimo was a kind person, she had always loved helping others. Yet she met with such a tragic accident. If not for that accident, she would have had a good next life. But if she committed murder, everything would be completely different. There's no need to let these evil people ruin your happy next life. When Yimo bit her lip, unwilling to accept it, after a moment, she nodded. All right, I won't take their lives. I'll make them live in fear. I flicked a glowing talisman into the air. It slowly descended onto Wen Yimo. Then it quickly vanished. Before Wen Yimo could react, she felt something enter her soul, as though she had instantly been filled with strength. Go on. Don't rush things. Take it slowly. If you face something you can't handle, call for me, and I'll come save you. When Yimo looked at me gratefully, her eyes immediately filling with tears. There are many bad people in this world. They saw her as easy to bully and pressured her for no reason. But there are many good people too, like those online who spoke up for her. And people like me. We weren't related to her, yet we were still willing to help her without holding back. Since I'd said she could vent her anger, when Yimo didn't want to stay another second, She quickly vanished from my room. From her fall to the truth coming out, only a few short days had passed. At first, that person had indeed panicked. After all, someone had died. But that panic quickly faded, replaced by indifference. People born into wealth and power, the environment they grow up in, and the education they receive can easily make them develop a warped belief that they are superior to others, and ordinary people are naturally beneath them. There is nothing money can't solve, and if money can't solve it, power can. Jiang Yan wasn't the one who caused the fall, but that day at the mall he had also taken part in ostracizing Yimo. Jiang Yan truly had a rough few days. He had only learned the news from Mu Chen, and before he could do anything, the situation had spiraled out of control. Only then did he tell his parents. Naturally, they gave him a severe scolding. Still, his heart settled again. His parents had scolded him. They would never abandon him. With the Jiang family's influence, getting him out of this mess would be child's play. So Jiang Yan wasn't worried now. He even thought he could just transfer schools. There were plenty of good schools in Heir, so he had no fear of having nowhere to study. He sat in bed, leaning against the headboard, watching a variety show on his phone. Every so often, he burst out laughing. He showed no sign of being affected by it all. When Yimo floated into his room, this was the scene that greeted her. Her fury surged to a fever pitch. See, these people don't feel the slightest remorse. They'll never turn over a new leaf. Anyone from a less privileged background is worth less than a dog or cat in their eyes. When Yimo's fury and resentment swelled to their peak, the crystal chandelier in Jiang Yan's room immediately began to sway. It flickered several times, giving off faint electrical crackles, as if something was wrong with it. The sudden disturbance startled Jiang Yan. He looked up at the chandelier overhead and muttered, "What's going on? Is the light broken?" He watched it for a while. When it returned to normal, he dismissed it. But the moment he turned back to his phone, the lights began flickering again. He could faintly hear electricity crackling. Still, he didn't think much of it. With a pout, he got out of bed and tried the light switch. But the moment he did, cold sweat covered him. The switch had completely stopped working. The light turned off though he hadn't switched it off. Then it turned on though he hadn't switched it on. And although the window was closed, it felt as though wind was blowing through the room. He also felt an icy chill. For some reason, when Yimo suddenly came to mind, his face instantly went pale. He reflexively turned to flee through the door. But no matter how hard he tried, the perfectly normal door wouldn't open. Open the door. Someone, hurry. Please, save me. Someone, help. Jiang Yan could no longer suppress his terror. He screamed at the top of his lungs. His screams were utterly chilling, especially in the middle of the night. Everyone else in the Jiang family villa felt their hearts hammer in fright. They rushed anxiously toward his room. Father Jiang pounded hard on the door from outside. "Jiang Yan, what's wrong? Open the door. What are you doing in there? I can't open it. There's a ghost." "Dad, hurry and save me," Jiang Yan cried out, his voice trembling. He pounded on the door nonstop. The terror in his voice carried through the door, clear to everyone outside. "Nonsense. Calm down. There are no ghosts in this world. Don't scare yourself. Maybe the lock is jammed. Calm down and check. I'll have someone find the key." As Father Jiang spoke, he exchanged a look with Mother Jiang. They both couldn't help recalling what had happened lately. Father Jiang's expression darkened. He was both furious with and worried for his son. He probably had a guilty conscience, so he was frightening himself. Luckily, the Jiangs lived in a detached villa, spaced well apart from the others. Otherwise, with him shouting like that, everyone in the entire villa complex would have heard him. A servant quickly brought the key, but no matter how they twisted it, the key would not turn. Jiang Yan's screams continued inside, mixed with bursts of cracking sounds, like light fixtures shattering. Then came one final crash, and the door that would not open finally did. The Jiang family hurriedly pushed inside. They were met with complete devastation. In the once lavishly decorated room, the ornaments lay scattered everywhere. The bedside lampshade hung crookedly. The hanging curtains were a tangled mess. The crystal chandelier had fallen from the ceiling, its shards strewn all over the floor. One corner of the carpet had been flipped up. The Jiang family was dumbfounded. Looking closer, they found Jiang Yan unconscious behind the door. Cold sweat beaded continuously on his forehead. Everyone rushed to carry him away, then quickly called for a doctor. After examining him, the doctor looked puzzled. "Young Master Jiang seems to have suffered a terrible fright. Did he experience something frightening?" The Jiang family's expressions changed. Father Jiang forced a smile. To be honest, we aren't quite sure either. He was in his room, and we thought he was asleep. Then we heard him screaming, and when we came over, he was already unconscious. What else could they say? That their son had done something shameful, then frightened himself into claiming he'd seen a ghost? Their son might have no shame, but the Jiang family still did. The doctor did not dwell on it. He's otherwise fine, but the injury on his forehead is quite serious. I'm afraid it will leave a scar. At that, the Jiang family's faces fell. After the doctor left, Jiang Yan soon woke up, but he had clearly been badly shaken. Before he was fully awake, he fell into a terrible nightmare. No, go away. It wasn't me. I didn't hurt you. I wasn't the one who pushed you downstairs. Go away. Don't come after me. His eyes remained tightly shut, but his hands kept flailing as he struggled. His face was filled with fear and utter terror. Mother Jiang's face changed when she heard him clearly. Jiang Yan, wake up now. You're all right. You're having a nightmare. Wake up? In a panic, she patted her son's face, but he did not react at all. Finally, she steeled herself and slapped him. Only then did he finally wake up. Jiang Yan opened his eyes and saw his mother. He burst into loud sobs. He immediately threw himself into Mother Jiang's arms, clutching her clothes tightly, his whole body trembling. Mom, there's a ghost. I saw her. It was Yimo. She came back to settle the score with me. She said I hurt her. She wants me to pay with my life. I told her I didn't, but she didn't believe me. She wants to strangle me to death. He had never known ghosts truly existed. He had clearly seen what happened in the room. It could not be explained by reason, and he really had seen her. She was wearing the same outfit from that day. It really was Yimo's ghost. Jiang Yan, you're confused. There are no ghosts in this world. You're scaring yourself. Don't overthink it. You don't need to worry about that matter. Nothing will happen. Our family can handle it. No one can hurt you. Be good, and don't dwell on it. In a few days, this will all be over. Mother Jiang looked terrible. His words had unsettled her too, but she held him steadily and comforted him. Perhaps he felt safe in his mother's arms. His emotions slowly settled. To convince him completely, Mother Jiang, half coaxed, half forced him to go take a look. The servants had already cleaned the room. It was no longer as messy as before. See, the chandelier simply fell because it was not installed properly. As for what you described, you left a gap when you failed to close the window. Didn't you notice how strong the wind was today? Of course, the wind could blow things around. And you call yourself educated. Mother Jiang scolded him fondly. She reached out and tapped his forehead. Mother Jiang's expression was flawless. She looked completely natural. Even Jiang Yan began to waver. He wondered if he had overthought it. Maybe he was just jumpy and scaring himself. Stop scaring yourself. Sleep in the guest room tonight. We'll have someone sort this out tomorrow. We won't install another crystal chandelier. They're too dangerous. Hesitantly, Jiang Yan was led back to the guest room. Jiang Yan, what nonsense are you talking about? Did you watch a horror movie? Did it put the idea in your head, making you think there's a ghost? Mu Chen never expected his friend had called him over to tell him something so absurd. He had seen Yimo's ghost. How could that be possible? After just one night, Jiang Yan looked utterly drained. He had even become jumpy and paranoid. He anxiously looked around, then lowered his voice nervously. No, Xuan, it's real. Everything I said is true. I really saw her ghost last night. She was in my room. She turned my room upside down. She said I hurt her. She came to settle the score with me. Then, after I fell asleep, my blanket suddenly floated in midair. I saw it with my own eyes. Jiang Yan's eyes were full of terrified unease. Speaking of last night made his scalp tingle. The night before, his mother had convinced him. After the guest room stayed quiet for a long time, he finally went to sleep reassured. But after falling asleep, he felt cold, even though he was covered by a thick down comforter. And it wasn't even that cold in Haishi. Eventually, the cold became unbearable and woke him. When he opened his eyes, he saw the blanket covering him, floating in midair. He instinctively screamed, but this time, no one came. It was as though something had cut off his cries. No matter how he screamed, no one came. Terrified, he crawled beneath the bed, but it was completely useless. Then, when Yimo's voice rang out in the room, as if it came from hell itself, he did not know how he survived the night. Dark circles ringed Jiang Yan's eyes. His terrified eyes darted wildly, his whole body taut with tension. The slightest sound made him jump. Mu Chen furrowed his brow deeply. He found his friend's story impossible to believe. But Jiang Yan did not look like he was lying. For a moment, Mu Chen did not know what to think. Just as he hesitated, Jiang Yan fixed him with an eerie stare and spoke in a hollow voice. Xuan, when Yimo came for me, she will not let me go. Then she will not let you go either. Mu Chen's heart lurched. He snapped back in a low voice. Jiang Yan, have you lost your mind? There are no ghosts in this world. Get a grip on yourself. Besides, her accident had nothing to do with you. It had even less to do with me. Jiang Yan's expression went distant at those words. He muttered to himself. That's right. I did not make her fall from that building. Why would she come after me? That day, he had only suggested an idea. He had not forced her to do it. If anyone was to blame, it was her for being careless. She was already dead. So why was she still coming to frighten him? The more Jiang Yan thought about it, the more vicious he became. The frantic look in his eyes turned vicious, filled with ruthless resolve. Fine. You became a ghost to scare me, did you? Then I'll find someone to exorcise you. I'll scatter your soul, so you cannot even remain a ghost. Once he had made up his mind, Jiang Yan could not sit still another second. He threw out one last remark and hurried away. But Jiang Yan had been far too optimistic. The Jiangs did not believe him at all. They thought he had developed serious mental problems. Mother Jiang could only keep coaxing and comforting him. But she never mentioned hiring anyone to perform a ritual. High society might care about feng shui and hire masters to range their homes, but only to attract wealth and good fortune. Ghosts were nothing but nonsense to them. Just as Jiang Yan grew increasingly anxious, another terrifying thing happened. It completely shattered Jiang Yan's sanity, and even frightened Mu Chen into falling ill. The student who had led the bullying suddenly fell gravely ill that day. She was rushed to the emergency room overnight. Although she was revived, her mind completely collapsed. All day, she cowered in her hospital bed, chanting hysterically the 3 words, I was wrong. Her parents wept in utter devastation. They insisted someone had killed their daughter. They claimed it had to be Yimo's parents, but the investigation proved that was impossible. Mr. and Mrs. Wen lived far from their home. Even driving directly would take an hour. They also had alibis. They had never even been near the area. There was no sign that an outsider had entered the house. The security system was fully intact. When Yimo had only been an ordinary worker, yet her sudden death caused an enormous uproar. It became one of the hottest topics online. It involved power, privilege, and the gap between rich and poor, which made the discussion even more explosive. The parents of the wealthy students involved tried to spend money to remove the trending post, but each time they did, the story surged back. It climbed even higher, and more details were exposed. Terrified, they could only give up and lie low. So, even after several days, people online were still discussing the incident. Now that the student involved had died, the news spread immediately. Compared with the regret and sympathy people felt for Yimo, they had no sympathy at all for that student. After all, people could see the truth clearly. She had fully brought this upon herself. She had indirectly caused Yimo's death. Now, it was a life for a life. Why should saying sorry allow her to go on living? Exactly. She was so cold-blooded at such a young age. Yimo's spirit can finally rest in peace. Yimo wept uncontrollably. I sat quietly beside her and watched her cry. I neither tried to stop her nor offered a word of comfort. All right, your wish has now been fulfilled. It is time for you to move on. The person who caused you to fall from that building was frightened to death. When Yimo had not truly laid a hand on her, she was scared to death because of her guilty conscience. Someone with a clear conscience would not be afraid. When guilt haunts your heart, you see ghosts everywhere. It would not be good for Yimo to linger in this world too long. Her sobs slowly subsided. She raised her face and looked quietly at me. With a pleading look, she asked softly, "Can I go see my parents?" I looked at her and firmly refused. "There is no need. Your parents have made it through the worst of it. If you see them again, it would be like tearing open their wounds and leaving them bleeding all over again." When Yimo froze for a moment, she lowered her eyes, realizing I was right. "But I can let you visit them in a dream. Say goodbye to your parents in their dreams." When Yimo was overjoyed and deeply grateful. "Thank you," I answered bluntly. "We are simply each getting what we need." When Yimo knew I had helped her in exchange for payment, just as I said, each of us got what we needed. I punished the wicked for her and dispelled the deep resentment in her heart. Her parents would not have to face the rich and powerful alone, risking retaliation at any moment. She could leave in peace. Mr. and Mrs. Wen slept deeply that night. Since their daughter died, it was the first peaceful sleep they had known. In their dreams, they saw their daughter. She looked as sweet and well-behaved as she had in life. With a radiant smile, she told them she was leaving. She told them to take good care of themselves. Finally, she said a master had helped her seek justice. For some reason, the couple thought of the young man who had claimed to be their daughter's friend. They urgently questioned their daughter, but she said nothing. She only smiled and bade them a reluctant farewell, then vanished from their dream. Tears slid from the couple's eyes as they slept. They knew their daughter had truly left this time. Perhaps there truly was a better life after death. Their daughter would surely have a wonderful next life. She would grow up safe and sound, making up for every regret of this life. Although their daughter had not admitted it herself, they believed the master she mentioned was the young man who had come to their home that day. That meant he was no ordinary person. When they awoke, they wondered how to repay him. But I appeared at their home once again. The moment they saw me, they were about to kneel. They thanked me for fulfilling their daughter's wish. I raised a hand to stop them. Do you remember what I told you? I require payment for helping you. Now it is time for me to collect it. Are you willing to pay? Yes, we are. Whatever we have, we are willing to give. The couple answered with absolute sincerity. I saw kindness in their eyes. I smiled faintly and nodded. Good. Now close your eyes. Silently think of the greatest payment you can offer me. The couple exchanged a glance. Without another question or a moment's hesitation, they slowly closed their eyes. Their hearts were filled with deep reverence. Before long, I watched as, from above their heads, a pure golden glow slowly rose. A satisfied smile appeared on my face. This was the merit they had accumulated. The purer the light, the more genuine their gratitude. It was surely the greatest price they were willing to pay. And that was the final payment I sought. I took out an exquisite charm pouch. With a light wave of my small hand, the two golden lights slipped into the pouch in my hand. After tying it shut, I said lightly, "All right, I have received your payment. You are both kind, good people, because you have kind hearts, and have accumulated merit through good deeds." When Yimo was able to meet me, the couple froze at once. Mrs. Wang could not help blurting out, "If that is so, then why did our daughter still have to?" I gazed quietly at her. When Yimo was destined to face this calamity, though she died young in this life, because of the good deeds you have done, she will not only be reborn smoothly, but be born into a better family. She will also, just as you wish, grow up safely, marry, and have children, then live happily to a ripe old age and pass away in peace. Is that true? Mrs. Wen's eyes brightened slightly. Of course, I never lie. That is good. Mrs. Wen could not stop herself from choking up. Before leaving, I had meant to say something, but the words reached my lips, then I swallowed them back. There was no need to say anything more. Mr. and Mrs. Wen had long done good deeds and accumulated merit. They had lost a beloved child, but they would eventually be blessed with another. When Yimo's departure was painful, but it also heralded another kind of new life. When I got home, I happened to see Dr. Song. I raised an eyebrow at the sight of him. Mu Chen was ill and showed no sign of recovering. They had changed doctors several times without any improvement. The Mu family was beside itself with worry. Naturally, I was not included. Peizu came downstairs, her brow tightly furrowed. When she saw me, her brow eased slightly. "Chen, you are back. Did you take care of what you needed to do? If anything is troubling you, remember to tell Mom. Do not bottle it up all by yourself." "Mom, I have taken care of it. It went quite smoothly." "That is good." Peizu nodded gently. Her eyes were shadowed with deep worry. "Xuan is sick now. Nothing can happen to Chen too. I do not know what is wrong with Xuan. He was perfectly fine, then suddenly fell ill. The hospital test found nothing wrong. We have changed doctors several times. He has taken medicine and had injections. But there has not been the slightest improvement. It is driving us frantic." "Mom, what did the doctors say?" Seeing me take the initiative to ask about Mu Chen, Peizu looked somewhat pleased. She thought I seemed cold but cared deeply for my brother. "The same as before. They say he is troubled at heart. But how could that be? What troubles could Xuan, just a child, possibly have? Troubles serious enough to make him collapse from illness. I think every one of these doctors is simply incompetent. If this had happened when Xuan first learned of his origins, she might have believed it. But more than a month had passed since then. He had been perfectly fine before. Clearly, the sudden illness was not because of that. But when we asked Xuan, he cannot explain it either." I gave a meaningful smile. Perhaps the doctors are not wrong. Maybe something is weighing on his heart. After all, a troubled heart needs its own cure. Peizu froze at once. A troubled heart. But what could possibly be troubling Xuan? I smiled with perfect innocence. Then we should ask what he has done. Xuerou looked at her son suspiciously. Chen, do you know something? It was not that I wanted to concern myself with Mu Chen. Whatever happened to him had nothing to do with me. But with him sick in the house, he had turned the whole household upside down. Mom and Dad were worried sick as well. Just look at my mother's eyes, usually so well cared for. Worry had given them fine lines. After a pause, I spoke softly. Mom, have you seen the news online? About what happened at the mall? Of course, Xuerou remembered it. She had been following its developments closely. After all, it had caused quite a stir. But had the matter not already been resolved? That girl had fallen by accident. After the killer struck, the mall security footage was released. Public opinion erupted in outrage. She also knew the parents of the student responsible. They were not close, but she never expected this. Even their company had been affected. She had heard they were preparing to move away. Once she learned the details, she could not help but sigh. But what did this have to do with Xuan? I said casually. Jiang Yan's condition is worse than Mu Zhuan's now. He spends all day screaming that he sees the ghost of that female employee. That day at the mall, Jiang Yan was there too. He was just lucky enough to hide in the back, so he was barely caught on camera. So, when that classmate died, he was scared half to death himself. Xuerou's heart jolted. Once she understood, her eyes widened in shock. Her face was full of disbelief. I did not directly say that Mu Chen had been involved, but Xuerou could draw her own conclusions. Jiang Yan and Mu Chen were very close friends. They attended the same school and were in the same class. Whatever vile things Jiang Yan had done, could Mu Chen really have known nothing at all? How could that be possible? Clearly, Xuerou understood that too. Her face instantly darkened. I left it at that and said no more. That evening, after Father Mu returned from work, Xuerou told him about it. He was equally shocked when he heard. After all, for as long as he could remember, Xuan had always been obedient and sensible. How could he have done something like this? But recalling how strange he had been these past few days, Father Mu's heart sank. The two went to Mu Zhuan's room. When he saw them enter, Mu Zhuan forced himself to sit up in bed. Dad, Mom, why are you here? Is something wrong? Mu Zhuan looked terrible. His face was an unhealthy shade of pale. His eyes were bloodshot. His exhausted eyes showed he was forcing himself to hold on. He did not look like someone who had only been sick for a few days. He looked like he had been ill for ages. Father Mu sat down, his expression grave. He fixed him with a stern gaze. Xuan, we have something to ask you. Answer honestly. Mu Zhuan froze for a moment. Instinctively, he glanced at Xuerou. Her expression was just as stern. He was confused, uneasy, and at a loss. Still, he gave a slight nod. All right. Ask, were you involved in that incident? Father Mu asked bluntly. The question caught Mu Zhuan completely off guard, because it came so suddenly. Mu Zhuan had no time to hide his expression. Both of them saw it clearly. The look on his face said it all. Their eyes filled with deep disappointment. The son who had seemed obedient and kind before them was secretly this kind of person. They were bitterly disappointed. They did not remember ever teaching him such behavior. Xuerou was both disappointed and heartbroken. She had never taken his upbringing lightly. She regularly asked after every aspect of his life. Whenever something happened in life, she took the chance to teach him, instilling proper values and morals. Unlike many wealthy families, she had not left everything to private tutors and ignored him. So, why had Xuan done this? Why did he bully a classmate? Even after adults caught him, he refused to admit he was wrong, until it ultimately led to an accident. Meeting their disappointed eyes, Mu Zhuan knew he could no longer hide the truth. The dread weighing on him these past days, along with his fear, anxiety, and terror, burst out all at once. He burst into loud sobs. Soon, he was sobbing so hard he could barely catch his breath. As he cried, he tried to defend himself. Dad, Mom, I have let you down. I truly know I was wrong. I never thought it would turn out this way. I never did anything to Miss Wen. I did not know this would happen to her. You claim you did not know. Father Mu was so furious he could hardly speak. Did you not know whether it was wrong to do such a terrible thing? Are you some ignorant 3-year-old? You are already 17. You have received more than a decade of schooling. Do you not even have basic morals? Why on earth did you do this? You were so obedient and sensible in front of us. Was all of that an act? Why did you exclude someone else? Mu Zhuan bit his lip, his eyes shifting nervously. He hesitated, afraid to voice what was in his heart. He knew his jealousy was wrong, but he simply could not control it. Ever since childhood, he had always excelled. He had always been the brightest person in the room. He had always been the moon surrounded by stars. But that classmate had stolen his spotlight and taken away his place at the top. You still will not tell the truth. Xuerou shouted sharply in fury. Mu Chen began trembling all over. His pale lips quivered. Ashamed, he finally confessed the reason. His voice grew softer with every word. Xuerou wished she could faint. Just listen to what he was saying. Just because someone else was better than him. He became jealous, so he urged his friends to ostracize her. When someone discovered it, he refused to correct his mistake. He even threw his family's weight around to threaten others. He was jealous of someone else's good grades. Why did he not work hard and try to surpass her? Why resort to such underhanded tactics to hurt someone? She stared at Mu Chen in shocked disbelief. This son of hers suddenly felt like a stranger. Had she not understood her son well enough? Or had she never understood him at all? She could not help but deeply question herself. Xuerou's gaze frightened Mu Chen. He threw himself into her arms, clinging tightly around her waist. He cried out loudly, "Mom, I am sorry. I truly did not mean to do it. I did not know it would turn out like this. At first, I only wanted to see her embarrass herself. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I swear, I was not involved in what they did afterward. I really did not take part. I did not know about what happened at the mall that day either. Jiang never told me. He only told me after things spiraled out of control. That was when I found out. If I had been there, I would have stopped them. I did not want anyone to get hurt. Dad, I truly know I was wrong. I never thought things would end up this way. I will never dare do it again. I will never be jealous of anyone again. I will work hard to become better myself. Dad, Mom, please believe me." Mu Chen's voice was urgent and pleading. He was not a biological member of the Mu family. He was only their adopted son. He could not let his parents lose all faith in him. If they were disappointed in him, would they decide they no longer wanted him? Would they heartlessly send him away? Where else could he go? Mu Chen had already been terrified and anxious. The classmates involved in the incident had suffered bizarre misfortunes. The main culprit behind the fall had been scared to death. His nerves had been stretched to the point. He had reached the limit of what he could endure. And now Father Mu and Xuerou knew. The thought of being thrown out kept flashing through his mind. Regret, terror, fear, unease, and despair all came crashing down on him at once. He had not rested properly for days. In his panic, he could not catch his breath and fainted. The Mu household fell into chaos once again. Everyone rushed to Mu Chen's room. I was the only one who did not show up. Unable to contain her anger, Mu Yue muttered a few complaints. Xuerou heard every word. She was already furious over the whole affair. When she heard her second daughter taking Mu Chen's side against her eldest son, her anger immediately flared. She harshly rebuked her. "Why are you always picking on Chen? He is your biological younger brother, not your enemy. And another thing, is Chen a doctor? What difference would it make whether he came or not?" Xuerou was actually a very tolerant mother. She usually acted as if she were about to discipline the children, but everyone knew she was only trying to scare them. She rarely scolded them this harshly. Even Mu Yue was stunned by the scolding. Mu Wanning and the twins had just returned. They exchanged confused looks. The same question arose in all their minds. Had something happened at home that I did not know about? The Mu sisters sensed that something was off. They had only suspected something had happened, but now they were practically certain. The only one unaffected was me. I simply carried on as usual. I spent all day absorbed in television shows. They had planned to hire me a tutor, but that plan had been put on hold. Everyone else still had mountains of homework. Other than watching television every day, only meals could get me off the couch. Chen, you are home all day. You are home all day. Has something happened at home? Big sister is busy at the company, so sometimes I overlook things at home. If anything happens at home, remember to tell big sister. It was rare for Mu wanting to take a break at home, yet she still worked in the study for half the day. Only then did she come downstairs and find me watching television. She paused, then came over and sat beside me. I did not even take my eyes off the screen. Nothing is wrong at home. Everything is fine. Are you sure nothing is wrong? Mom and Dad seem troubled these past few days. Is it because of your schooling? Since I would not tell her, she had to probe on her own. I had been back with the Mu family for over a month, but Mu Wanting was still unfamiliar with her younger brother. At that, I finally spared her a glance. But there was something distinctly off about my look. Why assume it has something to do with me? You assume that if something is wrong at home, then I must be the problem. That is not what I meant. I know you are very well behaved. No, I am not well behaved. Mu Wanting suddenly felt exhausted. If you want to know, ask Mom and Dad. I do not want someone bad-mouthing me later, saying I tried to drive a wedge between you. I turned my attention back to the television. Mu Wanting raised an eyebrow. Why did that sound so strange? Could Xuan have remembered what happened 2 nights ago? Mu Wanting could not help frowning. Before she found a chance to ask, the new year arrived. The atmosphere in the Mu household finally eased. Mu Xuan recovered after being sick for several days, though he had become much quieter. This was my first New Year since returning to the Mu family. Father Mu and Xuerou took it very seriously. They had people start preparing well in advance. The carefully arranged decorations throughout the house, and the dishes prepared for the New Year's Eve dinner, had all been thoughtfully chosen. Everything revolved around me. As for everyone else in the family, they had celebrated so many New Years already. What was wrong with letting Chen have this year? Was that not only natural? By New Year's Eve, the house was bustling. It was as if the earlier gloom had never existed. Father Mu and Xuerou's attitude toward Mu Xuan did not change much either. The two had spoken with him once after that day, and never brought up the matter again. It was my first time celebrating Lunar New Year in the human world. Everything felt so wonderfully new to me. I became much happier too. Not only did I smile more, my temper seemed much better as well. I did not even snap back at Mu Yue. That delighted Xuerou and Father Mu. After the new year, the family prepared to return to the capital. The Mu family's roots were in the capital, and old Madame Mu lived there as well. As old Madame Mu's son, Father Mu, was expected to take his children to pay their New Year respects. Otherwise, people would criticize him. Usually, the two households spent New Year's Eve separately. Unless there were special circumstances, they would gather in the capital for a reunion dinner. Besides, I had only just returned. They should take me to the capital to meet the relatives. Besides the 3 Mu siblings, there were other collateral relatives as well, and they still kept in touch. On the second day of the new year, the family packed up and set off. They flew back to the capital on the family's private jet. It was my first time on a plane, and I was fascinated. I practically pressed myself against the window, staring intently outside. Xuerou found it endlessly amusing. Seeing that, Mu Yue opened her mouth to mock me, but Xuerou shot her a look. She wisely shut up at once. Once we reached the capital, the Mu family had someone meet us at the airport. We got in the car and headed straight for the Mu family's old residence. Before we left, Xuerou explained the complicated family relationships here to me. I merely nodded after listening, without saying anything unnecessary. When we arrived before the Mu family's old residence, I habitually surveyed my surroundings. The Mu family had stood in the capital for over a century. Naturally, this ancestral home had been renovated many times, gradually becoming what it was today. It was not the European-style villa favored by the wealthy, but a traditional Chinese-style residence, a grand square courtyard estate. Its rich traces of history were everywhere. Generations of the Mu family had maintained it exceptionally well. They said a feng shui master had been consulted when the site was chosen and the house built. Before the family had died, he left a will, forbidding his descendants from relocating the ancestral home or altering its foundations without cause, let alone selling it. Any renovations could only be made upon its existing foundation. Anyone who defied this would lose their inheritance rights. Because of that rule, strictly speaking, the ancestral home had barely changed. Only the structures above ground had been altered. I could tell this ancestral home truly brought prosperity to its descendants. The fortune it had gathered over so many years formed a faint purple aura above the estate, yet it also showed signs of decline, foretelling that the home's protection was fading. It seemed no one had tampered with the ancestral home, so the problem could only lie with its descendants. The corner of my mouth curled up slightly. Now this was interesting. Happy New Year. As we entered, the first words exchanged were, Happy New Year. Father Mu's family were not the only ones who came that day. His married eldest sister had come with her family too. Oh, so this is Chen? I am sorry. Something came up at home last time, so I could not go to Haishi. Do not blame your aunt, all right. Mu Xuan immediately noticed me. The unfamiliar face standing beside Xuerou could only be the son her third brother had finally found and brought home. Hello, Auntie. I am Mu Chen. I put on an obedient expression. Mu Xuan looked at me with a smile, her eyes discreetly assessing me. You look so much like your parents. I am their son. Of course I look like them. Mu Xuan's smile seemed to falter. As though nothing had happened, she said, That is true. So you are the cousin who grew up at a Daoist temple deep in the mountains. He really looks like a country bumpkin. He does not look anything like the Mu family's eldest young master. A boy about my age bounded straight to Mu Xuan's side. His eyes swept brazenly over me. It was extremely rude. His voice held undisguised contempt. Peizuru's face darkened at once. Mu Xuan hurriedly pulled her son back, giving him a mild, perfunctory rebuke. Watch how you speak. I looked at him with even greater disdain, carefully sizing him up from head to toe. You grew up by your parents' side, wanting for nothing, but judging by your manners. It seems your manners are worse than mine. Mu Xuan and her son's expressions changed. Siji was so furious that his face turned red. He never expected me to be so unconventional. Would most people not swallow their anger in this situation? How dare he talk back in front of everyone? Peizuru was secretly delighted, but outwardly imitated Mu Xuan's earlier manner. You child, watch how you speak. Keeping a straight face, I replied calmly. I was copying him. I thought all young masters in the capital were like this. Mu Yue was struggling not to laugh. I had always been the one tearing into her before. Today, someone else was finally getting it, watching me leave him unable to say a word. Why was she so delighted? Although this cousin was close to Mu Xuan, she simply could not stand him. Mu Xuan was also a young master of the Mu family. He was precious and pampered, yet even he was not as arrogant and unreasonable as Siji. He was especially selfish too. He acted as if the whole world revolved around him. At family gatherings when they were children, Siji did not dare bother the eldest sister too much, but he treated everyone else differently. They were all forced to become his playthings. No matter what he wanted, they had to give in to him. If they did not, he would cry and throw a tantrum. Whenever he got into trouble, he would blame the sisters. They had taken the blame for him countless times. Once he grew up, he learned to play the victim. Now they were annoyed the moment they saw him. At last, someone could put him in his place. Peizuru shot her second daughter a glare, warning her not to go too far. Then she turned to Mu Xuan with an apologetic expression. Sister Xuan, I am sorry. Chen is wonderful, but he is a little too blunt. Please do not take it to heart. After saying that, she turned to remind me. Of course young masters in the capital have good manners. Your cousin was only joking earlier. Do not be petty and take it seriously. Mu Xuan was simmering with anger after hearing that. What now? So if her son took offense, he was the petty one. It was the first time Siji had ever faced something like this. He stamped his foot and ran off unhappily. When no one was paying attention, Mu Yue quietly praised me. Well done. No one should indulge him. I gave her a casual glance. I am not his parents. Of course I will not indulge him. That made perfect sense. Why had she not thought that way when he used to bully her? Aside from Aunt Xuan's family, whom I had not met before, I had met the rest of the main Mu family at the recognition banquet. I had not interacted much with my cousins. We had merely been introduced to each other. Lu Manqi and Mu Mingyuan had 3 sons. Their second and youngest sons were close in age to Yue. Their eldest son was already married. He had married the daughter of a prominent capital family. Mu Xuan and Zifa Sheng had only one son, and that was Siji. With everyone gathered together, there were quite a lot of people. The house was especially lively. Grandma Mu's smile never faded. Xuan, why have you gotten so thin? Grandma Mu pulled Mu Xuan to her side. After looking him over, she frowned. Mu Xuan touched his face, about to deny it. When Grandma Mu turned to Peizuru, she reproached her with displeasure. Although Xuan was switched at birth, the Mu family raised him for all those years. You cannot mistreat him simply because he is not blood-related. Peizuru's expression darkened. What did she mean? They mistreated Xuan. When had they ever mistreated him? Seeing Peizuru's expression change, Mu Xuan hurriedly spoke up to explain. Grandma, that is not true. Mom and Dad are both very good to me. I caught a cold and had a fever a few days ago. I got sick because I was not careful in winter. Mom and Dad treat me very well. Grandma, please do not misunderstand. If Mu Xuan had spoken as naturally as he used to, using his usual coaxing tone, Grandma Mu would have believed him. But because of what happened with Yimo, he had been carrying a huge burden in his heart. He felt certain his parents were disappointed in him, so he had become somewhat cautious. Hurrying to explain should have been a good thing, but to everyone else, it looked like something else. Instead, it only made things look worse. Grandma Mu held Mu Xuan's hand. Xuan, do not overthink it. You will always be a young master of the Mu family. Let me make this clear. If anyone dares give you trouble, call Grandma. Grandma will stand up for you. As she spoke, she gave me a pointed glance. I noticed it, but I was completely unmoved. I did not find it surprising. Although Mu Xuan was not a Mu by blood, the family had raised him for over a decade. Those years of affection were real. The love they had poured into him had been returned, so it could not be withdrawn overnight. Blood ties mattered, but so did affection built over the years. I will say it again. As long as Mu Xuan does not provoke me, I have no interest in ruining anything. As for petty jealousy, what even is that? What are you talking about? Who is bullying Xuan? Xuan really was sick recently. His illness lingered for several days, and he has not fully recovered yet. Father Mu was displeased by his mother's words. She was always making pointed remarks about Chen. If we were going to mistreat Xuan, why would we let him stay? Just to make themselves miserable? Mu Xuan looked at Grandma Mu with pleading eyes. Mom and Dad truly treat me well. Please do not blame them. He should be grateful they let him stay. After all, he was not the real young master. All right. Do not get worked up. Your grandmother is just worried about you. She talks about you every day. If school were not about to start, she would want you to stay longer. Seeing the mood was about to sour, Lu Manqi quickly spoke up to ease the awkwardness. Grandma Mu did not press the matter further. She patted Mu Xuan's head, her eyes full of affection. You will take the college entrance exam next year. Apply to Capital University. Then you can move into the Mu family home, too. Mu Xuan instinctively looked at Xuerou, as if seeking her opinion. Xuerou furrowed her brow. As for his college application, had the family not discussed it long ago? It was entirely up to what Xuan wanted. Still, she went along with the old lady. Your grandmother is right. Capital University would make it easier for us to look after you. Mu Xuan was happy at first, but then doubt crept into his heart. Was Mom really disappointed in him? Did she no longer love him? Was she asking him to apply to Capital University so he could be far away from home, without having to appear at the house so often? His mood immediately sank, but he did not dare show it, so he forced a smile. Luckily, he lowered his head. Otherwise, who knew what everyone would have thought? Father Mu's family stayed in the capital for 2 days. Xuerou wanted to take me sightseeing. After all, I had never been to the capital. The capital had plenty of fun places and good food. During the new year, visiting temples was especially common. Most people in the capital did it. There were also grand temple fairs, and they were incredibly lively. On the 3rd day, Mu Mingyuan became interested as well. He called his family over, saying it was rare for everyone to gather. They might as well go together. The more, the merrier. So the whole family set off into vans. Who knew what Siji was thinking? But he tagged along too. He pulled Mu Xuan into their eldest uncle's vehicle, driving Mu Mingyuan's youngest son out of his seat. Mu Ruxu was a little simple and guileless. She was not good at comforting others with words, but she was clearly an honest, kind-hearted girl. She had been close to Mu Yue since childhood. Watching the two chat so warmly, I gave them a meaningful look. Birds of a feather flocked together. Mu Yue was a bit of a fool herself, so naturally she got along with the equally silly Ruxu. Mu Yue noticed my look. She shot me a baffled glance. What was he up to now? It was the new year, after all. Hopefully, he would not get scolded again. I quickly looked away. Our group headed to the capital's most famous temple. The temple had over 300 years of history. Though it had witnessed the rise and fall of dynasties and endured the ravages of war, it had fortunately survived and remained remarkably well preserved. The Buddha statue in the main hall had sat there for over 3 centuries, unchanged as ever, with compassionate eyes that had witnessed all the world's splendor. Without the slightest qualm, I stepped into the main hall. I knelt on a prayer cushion with everyone else, closed my eyes and recited a prayer in my heart. I hoped I could quickly earn enough merit to return to the city of wrongful death and reopen the gate of reincarnation. After praying for a while, I opened my eyes. I met the statue's compassionate gaze. I paused. Why did something feel off about its eyes? I wondered if it was just my guilty conscience, making the statue seem strange to me. I stared at the Buddha statue without blinking, trying to confirm whether the problem was really me. Chen, do not stare at the Buddha statue like that. The Buddha statue will blame you. After Xuerou finished praying, she noticed her son. He was kneeling perfectly straight, but his eyes were far too bold, fixed directly on the statue before him. I looked away. Mom, do you not think its eyes are strange? Xuerou gave it a casual glance, then quickly looked away. She laughed fondly and said, You child, What are you thinking? Aren't all Buddha statues like this? What is strange about it? This Buddha statue in the main hall has been here for more than 300 years. It was sculpted when the temple was built and has never changed. How could there be anything strange about it? Remembering that her son had grown up in a Daoist temple, Xuerou gently reassured him. Though there are plenty of Buddhist temples these days, there are Daoist temples too. When we have time, I will take you to worship at one. If I were not the prince of the city of wrongful death, that suggestion would have frightened me. I may not be a ghost, but I still belong to the underworld. By nature, I am not on the same path as Buddhas and immortals. I should visit places like this less often. After all, we are not of the same kind. Before rising, I could not help looking again. Those eyes still did not seem right. At first glance, they looked deeply compassionate, but on closer inspection, there was something sinister about them. It did not seem like a proper Buddha statue. Instead, they looked like. Once outside the main hall, I put aside my doubts. Perhaps I really was being overly suspicious. This temple and its Buddha statue had endured for over 300 years. No one knew how much incense it had received. Even if there had been a problem, all that worship should have purified it. Xuerou had visited this temple several times. The scenery was quite lovely. A heavy snow had fallen in the capital before the new year, and the temperatures had stayed low these past few days. The snow had not melted. It was the perfect time to climb the mountain and see the snowy views. The mention of snowy scenery immediately interested me. I truly had never seen snow. At least, I do not think I had. I could not remember how long I had been in the city of wrongful death, and before I arrived there, I probably had not seen it either. Otherwise, why would I not remember it at all? Xuerou watched me walk ahead, skipping along with a little bounce in my step. It was nothing like my mature, composed manner at home. Only now did I look like a little boy, watching her lively son. A loving smile curved Xuerou's lips. Her eyes brimmed with tenderness, yet she still felt some regret. She had missed her son's childhood. The Mu sisters found the sight surprising. They had thought their younger brother was a little old-fashioned. He really was still a child. As for why he was steadier than an adult, they did not need to think hard about it. A wave of sisterly affection rose in Mu Yue's heart. She silently decided to indulge him more from now on. After all, she was his fourth sister. As they walked, Mu Yue felt playful. She bent down and grabbed a handful of snow, packed it into a snowball, and threw it at me up ahead. It hit me squarely. I stopped in my tracks, then turned around with a stern little face. The other three Mu sisters all pointed at her, making it clear they were innocent. I narrowed my eyes at Mu Yue. You have gotten bold, throwing snow at me. Mu Yue saw me provocatively tossing the snow in my hand. After staring at her for a moment, I suddenly smiled, showing my white teeth. I wore a white knit hat, with two fluffy pom-poms dangling from it. The brim had a cute trim around it. When I smiled like that, my little face looked adorably chubby, like a tiny kitten grinning wide. The sight sent a little jolt through all four sisters. A warm, tingling feeling spread through them. They had the urge to rush over and squeeze his cheeks. Was their little brother really this cute, compared to his usual maturity? This was the charm of contrast. I had no idea that one smile had ruined my image. From then on, in his four sisters' hearts, I left a lasting impression of unexpected cuteness. Mu Yue was stunned too. She scratched her head, thinking he seemed even cuter than Xuan. Just as she thought that, a white blur flew straight at her face. She reacted quickly and dodged, but she did not escape it. The snowball smacked her in the face. She froze for a moment. She had thought she could dodge it. I put my hands on my hips and grinned smugly. That is for throwing at me. Trying to dodge. In your dreams. Xuerou clenched her fist from the side, cheering on and praising her son. Chen, nice shot. Your fourth sister had that coming. Keep throwing them at her. Just do not pelt her to death. Mom, am I even your daughter? Mu Yue cried out in despair. Xuerou gave her a disdainful glance. I wish you were not my daughter, but you look far too much like me. You probably were not switched at birth. Mu Yue felt as though her heart had been stabbed full of holes. Are you not afraid my little brother will hurt me? She asked unwillingly. Xuerou waved a hand. That would only prove you are useless. What is the big deal about getting hit by a few snowballs? It is not as if that could hurt you. If you really got hurt, that would only prove you are too weak. People would laugh at you. As she spoke, I packed another snowball and hurled it at her. I had wanted to teach Mu Yue a lesson for a long time. She had grown taller, but not smarter. A few words from someone else were enough to provoke her. Who knew what she might do after being used by someone someday? Normally, I could not be bothered with her. But today, she had brought it on herself. I would not go easy on her. First, I would give her a proper lesson. So Mu Yue and I began a snowball fight. At first, she relied on her sturdy build, thinking there was no way she could lose a snowball fight to a little boy. She planned to use the chance to vent her frustration. But who could have known? Reality was harsh. She was utterly crushed. In the end, my snowballs drove her running around with her head covered. Those three heartless sisters were infuriating. They only stood aside and enjoyed the show. Not one of them came to help her. There were 8 people in the family. Maybe she was the one who had been adopted. What are you doing? Mu Yue and I stopped our snowball fight. Mu Yue secretly breathed a sigh of relief. This was too humiliating. She had actually lost a snowball fight to her little brother. It was Mu Xuan and Meng Siji. They had all arrived together. After paying their respects, they had split up. Meng Siji had insisted on dragging Mu Xuan along, so Mu Xuan went with him. Now they had run into each other again. Seeing Mu Yue in such a sorry state, her nice clothes dirtied by snowballs, and her bird's nest hair covered in snow, then looking at me, clean and spotless, Mu Xuan was somewhat displeased. Chen, how did you pelt fourth sister until she looked like this? Mu Yue knew this was bad the moment she heard that. She hurried to explain before I could speak, but I gave her no chance. Oh, if you had not called out, I could have hit her even harder. Besides, she threw the first snowball at me. She only hit me once. But what happened? I pelted her mercilessly. Mu Xuan was left speechless. He opened his mouth and said awkwardly, "Still, you should not have pelted her this badly." Mu Yue quickly stepped in to smooth things over. Xuan, I am fine. We were having a snowball fight. It did not hurt at all. My clothes just look a little dirty. You do not need to worry. Mu Xuan had spoiled my fun. I tossed the snowball in my hand aside, brushed off my palms, and huffed. Then I walked over to Xuerou. Mom, let us keep going. Xuerou smiled and nodded. Then she looked at Mu Xuan and Meng Siji. Since we have run into each other, let us go together. There are many people around during the holiday, so it is easy for something to happen. Although she worried the two boys might clash, her gaze fell on Mu Xuan. I once did the master a favor. He promised to grant me one request. She had never intended to call in that promise, but now she had no choice. She had to save her eldest grandson. Xuerou and the others made their way around the temple. Everything went smoothly, and they soon left. The couple finally relaxed. After staying in the capital for 2 days, they set off for High City. Father Mu got busy arranging my schooling. After much thought, the couple decided to send me to Mu Xuan's school. Though the two were not particularly close, at least they would be at the same school. At least at the same school, they could look out for each other. Yet when the couple considered that, they had no real confidence in it. With Chen's temperament, it was impossible to expect him and Mu Xuan to look after each other. Still, they ultimately made that decision, holding on to a small, hopeful wish. Perhaps things would not turn out as badly as they feared. Throughout winter break, I had been catching up on my studies. The Mu sisters tutored me, and they also hired teachers to come to the house. At first, no one knew exactly what I had studied before, but they soon figured it out completely. Though I had never attended school systematically, the Daoist priestess who adopted me had taught me quite a lot. I was also a quick learner, and learned very fast. Father Mu and Xuerou were overjoyed. They also felt immensely relieved. Thankfully, the Daoist priestess had been well educated. She had taught Chen so much. Otherwise, he might truly have been illiterate. Before long, school was about to begin. That day, Father Mu delayed going to work. He personally drove his son to school. The car held the worried Xuerou and Mu Yue, representing the four sisters. Xuerou gave me endless reminders in the car. I did not seem impatient. Mu Yue, on the other hand, had heard it so often she was sick of it. Mom, that is enough. He is only going to school. Anyone would think he was off to do something dangerous. Mu Yue rolled her eyes. And he is not even boarding there. He will come home every day. What could possibly happen? Xuerou shot her a fierce glare. You do not understand anything, so be quiet. Something happened at this school not long ago. If Xuan had not already been studying here, and he only had 1 semester left before graduation, I would never let Chen attend this school. Thinking of that incident, Xuerou felt deeply unsettled. After all, Mu Xuan had been involved too. She wanted to say something to him, but seeing silent Mu Xuan beside her, she swallowed the words back down. Forget it. He surely knew he had been completely wrong, and would not make such foolish mistakes again. If she kept pressing the matter, he would only become oversensitive and overthink it again. Mom, do not worry. I will not let anyone bully me. I knew what she was worried about. Never mind that I am a young master of the Mu family. Even if I were an ordinary person, anyone who dared bully me would get it back 100-fold. Bullies only prey on the weak and fear the strong. As long as you are more ruthless than they are, they will be the ones afraid of you. Father Mu and Xuerou escorted me to the school gate, but could go no farther. Parents were not normally allowed inside the school. They could only drop off and pick up students at the gate. Watching Xuan and me walk inside, Xuerou was still worried. Father Mu put an arm around her shoulders and comforted her. Do not worry. Chen is a smart boy. He will be fine. Besides, he is not someone who lets others push him around. Xuerou gave him a faint glance. She could not be bothered explaining further. It was precisely because she knew Chen's temperament that she worried more. What if he got into a conflict with someone? Once inside, I could not hide my curiosity. I carefully looked around the school. Children in this era are truly fortunate. Even boys can attend school, too, for only a little money. Such a spacious, bright place, with such smooth, clean floors. They need not fear summer heat or winter cold. Children today have it nothing like children of the past. Only children of high-ranking nobles had even somewhat decent schools. For common children, getting an education was incredibly difficult. Why was I thinking like this? Could I have seen such things before? I was briefly confused, but I could not find any matching memory. I simply assumed I had once heard Ghost mention it. Mu Chen noticed my awestruck gaze, and how I looked around everywhere. He could not help feeling contemptuous. He lowered his eyes to hide the scorn in them. Chen, do you know how to find your classroom? Would you like me to take you there? Mu Chen asked while standing before the school building. I gave him a cold glance. No. Mu Chen smiled faintly. Then go by yourself. Your classroom is upstairs. It is easy to find. If you cannot find it, ask a teacher. Mu Chen was glad I had returned. Just before winter break, it spared him the strange looks of those around him. At that thought, Mu Chen let out a breath. He turned and headed off in one direction. I went in the opposite direction. I stood at the back door of Class F. I looked up to make sure I had not come to the wrong place, then fell silent. No wonder Father looked so conflicted about me joining Class F. His expression had been impossible to read. You are the new student, right? Your name is Mu Chen, correct? Class F's homeroom teacher hurried over. When he saw a boy standing at the back door, he paused, then remembered. I spun around at once. I studied the teacher carefully. Once I confirmed who he was, I gave him a proper bow. Hello, sir. The teacher was momentarily stunned by me. So formal? He had even bowed to him. Mu Chen, I am your homeroom teacher. My surname is Liu. Everyone calls me Big Liu. You can call me that too. Come find me if you have any trouble. I gently shook my head and said solemnly, you are a teacher and deserve respect. How could I call you Big Liu? Respecting one's teachers is basic courtesy. Big Liu was suddenly touched. After teaching for so many years, this was the first time his heart had been moved. But the feeling vanished in an instant. Big Liu quickly regained his composure. Class is about to begin. Come in with me. Big Liu strode into the classroom. Yet the students acted as if they did not see him. They kept doing as they pleased, making a racket. Big Liu was clearly used to it. Everyone, quiet down. Class is starting. First, let us introduce our new classmate. Big Liu shouted at the top of his lungs. The noise in the classroom abruptly stopped. Everyone turned to look, sizing me up as I stood at the front. A new student at this point. That is certainly surprising. This handsome guy is pretty good looking. He is seriously handsome. Hearing the chatter below, Big Liu looked rather embarrassed. He cleared his throat and gently said to me, Mu Chen, why do you not introduce yourself first? I nodded, my expression calm, looking at everyone below. I am Mu Chen. Student Mu, are you finished? I gave him a baffled glance. What else was I supposed to say? That was quite a brief introduction. With introductions over, it was time to arrange my seat. Big Liu was still deciding where I should sit, but I looked around myself and headed straight for a particular seat. When they saw me sit down, Big Liu and the students gaped. Their faces were full of shock. Beyond their surprise, the students seemed to show a hint of anticipation for the coming show. Who said you could sit here? I turned to my deskmate. Can I not sit here? No, I do not want to sit with anyone else. Lu Qiuping said with a dark expression. If he were not a boy, she would have kicked him already. Who gave him the nerve to sit beside her? I looked away and said evenly. Oh, then you should change seats. Lu Qiuping and the others were utterly bewildered. When she came to her senses, she laughed in anger. She pointed at herself. Do you know who I am? No. She did not introduce herself. How would I know who she is? You do not even know who I am, yet you dare talk to me like that. Do not think I will not hit you just because you are a boy. At last, I deigned to give her a glance. You want to hit me? Leave now, or I will teach you a lesson. I considered it, then said seriously. Then let us fight. We will fight. If I win, you will listen to me from now on. If I lose, I will listen to you. What do you say? The classroom fell silent. Then everyone burst into laughter. Oh, I am dying of laughter. He says he wants to fight Lu Qiuping. Does he not know how formidable Sister Ping is? Sister Ping, teach him a lesson. Lu Qiuping curled her lip in disdain. I never fight boys. You are not worth lifting a finger against. I gave a faint smile. I think you are too scared to fight me. You are afraid of losing. Like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, Lu Qiuping leaped up from her seat. Me, lose? What a joke. Fine. Since you do not know your place, I will grant your wish. She had originally planned to overlook it because he was good-looking, and generously let his taking that seat without permission slide. Who knew he would throw her kindness back in her face? She looked at me with utter disgust. She had decided I was like every other boy who flocked around her. Then it is settled. I calmly laid out my books. My posture was impeccably proper. I made it clear that class was about to begin. Xuan, why is your brother not with you? Did your parents not let him join your class? After Mu Chen returned to the classroom and took his seat, his usual friends immediately gathered around to ask. Mu Chen pressed his lips together before answering. Chen went to class F. He went to class F. Then his grades must be terrible. Did you not say your parents dote on him? Why would they let him go to class F? Class F is where people just coast through life. They all plan to study abroad after the college entrance exams. Most are either the youngest children or the less favored ones. They will not have to inherit the family business. They can just live off their allowance. Nobody cares about their grades, and nobody cares about them either. As long as they do not cause trouble at school, their families ignore everything else. The Mu family let him go to class F. Seems they do not dote on him that much after all. Exactly. Even if he is their biological son, he spent more than a decade away from them. Who knows what he is really like? How could he compare to Xuan, who was raised so carefully? It looks like Xuan is still the Mu family's young master. Mu Chen hesitated slightly. Chen simply did not do well on the exam. He did not mention that Father Mu had initially wanted to use his connections to transfer me into Class A, but I have firmly refused. Father Mu was hopelessly devoted to his son, so naturally, he would not force me. That was why I went to Class F. Mu Zhuan's friend curled his lip. He could only get into Class F. That is truly pathetic. Xuan is first in Class A. The difference is enormous. Mu Chen continued explaining. Chen did not want this either. He used to live at a Daoist temple. He never even attended a proper school. Getting into Class F is already good for him. As long as he studies hard, he can still transfer to another class. It is already the second half of the semester. What is the point of transferring now? After the college entrance exams, he will be changing schools anyway. You said he lived at a Daoist temple. Is that true? Hearing this explosive news, even more students crowded over to gossip. There is nothing to discuss. Class is about to start. Hurry back to your seats. Mu Chen ushered the students beside him away, urging them to return to their seats. But the less he was willing to explain, the more curious everyone became. They could only speculate in private. Mu Chen sat in his own seat, lowered his gaze, and opened his book. He was as quiet and well-behaved as ever. Then he suddenly turned toward a seat where someone familiar should have been sitting. But the seat was empty now. The person who had sat there was gone. Thinking of Zhang, his eyes darkened. His gaze inadvertently swept over another spot, then recoiled as if pricked by a needle. He did not dare look again. That was when Yimo's seat. After the incident, everything had changed. Usually, the classes kept to themselves. They stayed out of each other's way, though they could not stand one another. Class F sat at the bottom of the school's pecking order. The higher the class, the less they wanted anything to do with them. But today was different. At break, a Class A student had just gone outside. When he came racing back, shouting excitedly, "Big news, big news. Someone in Class F is going to fight. What is wrong with you? What is so unusual about Class F fighting? It would be unusual if they went a day without fighting. No, that is not it. The student who ran back stamped his feet. He gave Mu Chen a meaningful look. Mu Chen was completely baffled by the look. The student deliberately put on a mysterious air. Do you know who is fighting Lu Qiyuping? His eyes landed on Mu Chen again. The hint was so obvious that no one around them could ignore it. Mu Chen's expression nearly froze. Everyone exchanged looks. One boy close to him asked, "You mean Xuan's little brother is fighting Lu Qiyuping?" "No way. Do you know who Lu Qiyuping is?" "Never mind the seniors. Even across the entire school, everyone knows who she is. She has been notorious since middle school, though not for anything good." "That is right. It is Mu Chen." People from Class F said so themselves. They also said Mu Chen started it and told her to meet him in the woods after school. After saying that, the student grinned at Mu Chen. "Mu Chen, your brother is really something. He actually dared challenge Lu Qiyuping. Has he had training? He must be amazing, right?" Once he was sure they were not joking, Mu Chen sprang up and headed out. He was furious and anxious. Was Mu Chen insane? He dared provoke anyone and everyone. Did he think this school was the Mu family, where everyone would indulge him and let him do whatever he pleased? Fuming, he went to Class F to find Mu Chen, but halfway there he stopped. He bit his lip hard, clenching his fists tightly, his eyes flickering uncertainly. Of course, stopping him would be best. Then their parents would not blame him if trouble erupted. But if he did not stop him, and Mu Chen truly fought Lu Qiyuping, either way, it would cause trouble. He had not interacted much with Lu Qiyuping, but he had heard plenty about her. He knew the Lu family was no ordinary family. Mu Chen had provoked her. Gritting his teeth, he turned and headed back. Forget it. He would stay out of it. Even if he tried to talk Mu Chen out of it, he would not listen. He might even say something cruel and make Mu Chen lose face too. Were they not fighting after school? He could try talking him out of it then. If Mu Chen still would not listen, he could call their eldest sister. Then their parents would not blame him. The mood in Class F was charged all morning. Old Liu overheard the two talking, but did not take it seriously at all. During the break, he gave a few reminders, telling Qiyuping not to bicker with the boy, since it would be beneath her dignity. After that, he left. He knew Lu Qiyuping well enough to think she would not take her anger out on a new student, but he had not expected that I was no pushover either. So as soon as class ended, Class F surrounded me in a huge crowd and headed for the small woods behind the school. I glanced at the students who had followed us. My gaze fell on Lu Qiyuping. I wondered whether I should warn her to send the uninvolved students away first. Otherwise, she would probably be humiliated soon. Wanting to save face was only natural. This happened often in Wangsi City. When they lost, they would cry and howl for me to judge fairly. How was I supposed to judge something like that fairly? If you were not skilled enough, you had to accept defeat. After that, no one bothered me with such trivial matters. I had countless affairs to manage in my sister's place. How could I bother with such petty things? Lu Qiyuping felt there was something strange about my look, but she had no proof. How do you want to fight? Before we begin, as long as you sincerely admit your mistake, we can let this go. I'll be generous and not hold it against you. Lu Qiyuping said arrogantly. Fighting a boy was humiliating enough. Even if she won, people would laugh at her. But she could not simply let it go. Where would that leave her pride? So he had to apologize and admit his mistake. Fight however you are best at. Enough talk. Let's get started. I need to get home early. The Mu family driver is probably here already. Lu Qiyuping was so angry that she laughed. Fine, someone is begging for a beating. I do not need to go easy on you. It was rare for her to show such sportsmanship. Yet he did not appreciate it at all. Mu Chen left as soon as class ended. His classmates thought he had gone to stop them. He did go to the woods, but after one distant glance, he turned and left. He headed straight for the school gate. At the gate, he quickly spotted the Mu family car. The person stepping out of the driver's seat was their eldest sister, Mu Wanting. His eyes lit up, and he hurried over. He blurted out anxiously, "Big sis, you're just in time. Xiao Chen is going to fight someone. Hurry and stop him." Mu Wanting was utterly stunned. She thought she had misheard. A fight? You said Xiao Chen is going to fight someone. Mu Chen looked worried and frantic. I do not know why, but the moment he got to school, he clashed with the class troublemaker. They arranged to fight in the woods after school. I could not talk him out of it. Big sis, please hurry. What if he gets beaten up? Mu Wanting grew anxious at once. Without asking more, she rushed into the school. The security guard tried to stop her. She revealed her identity. saying something had happened to her younger brother. The guard did not dare stop her further, so he let her through. Mu Chen anxiously led Big Sis toward the woods. His act was flawless, though anticipation occasionally flashed in his eyes. Mu Chen was too worried about her brother to notice. The two rushed to the woods, but what they saw left them both dumbfounded. They fell silent. Mu Chen especially was questioning everything she knew. She had expected to find her brother being bullied. Why did you come into the school? It is getting late. Let's go home. It took Mu Chen a long while to recover. When she saw that I was already several yards away, she hurried after me. Only after we got back into the car did she finally find her voice and her senses. Her eyes were full of complicated emotions. She looked at me, at a loss for words. Looking at her, I confessed honestly. Oh, I just got into a fight. I won. There is no need to tell Mom and Dad about something so minor, so they will not worry. What do you think? She felt something was not right. How could he fight someone? And why had he won? Have you trained before? Other than that, she could not think of another explanation. Of course one had trained. I was pretty good too. In Wangsi City, aside from my sister, I was the strongest. Mu Chen looked at me and fell silent. Just then, Mu Chen finally caught up. He opened the door and climbed into the backseat. He was slightly out of breath. Before he could catch his breath, I cut him off with a single sentence. I do not want Mom and Dad to know about today, so they will not worry. What do you think? Mu Chen met my cold gaze. He almost stopped breathing. Instinctively, he glanced at Mu Chen. She was still lost in shock. She did not notice his look at all. She gave no reaction whatsoever. Feeling wronged and unwilling, Mu Chen had no choice but to lower his eyes. I understand. I will not mention it to Mom and Dad. Chen had never mentioned training before. On the way home, Mu Chen could not help asking, "You never asked?" I answered as though it were perfectly obvious. Mu Chen was instantly speechless. After thinking it over, guilt rose in her heart. They had not cared enough for Chen after he came home. They had never taken the initiative to ask or understand him. They had even worried that Xuan would be wronged, worried that growing up outside had made him unruly, that he did not know how to be modest or tactful, or how to care for his family. They feared he would throw the family into chaos. But he was her real brother, her full brother, born of the same mother. They only knew he had grown up in a Daoist temple. They had never cared how he was raised, or what kind of life he had lived. In the months after the Daoist nun died, how had he managed alone? Had something bad happened to him, forcing him to learn how to defend himself? When they got home, Xuerou immediately asked about my day at school. She questioned me closely. My answers were flawless. How could she imagine her well-behaved son had gotten into a fight? Hearing that everything was fine, she was relieved. Mu Chen wanted to expose what had happened, but he did not dare take that risk. In the end, he told himself to forget it. Even if he told them, Chen probably would not be punished. It would not do him any good. That made him feel a little better. We may have a guest staying with us. Xuerou, make the arrangements. At dinner, Father Mu remembered and said. Xuerou was somewhat surprised. A guest was coming to stay. How did she not know about this? Father Mu's brows drew together slightly. He seemed a little puzzled. It is the old madam of the Diwu family in the capital. The old madam of the Diwu family? This time, Xuerou was truly shocked. They had never had dealings with them. Why would the old madam come stay with them? After a moment's thought, Father Mu answered. It is not exactly a visit. The old madam is coming to Haishi City on business. She does not want to stay in a hotel. The Diwu family has no residence here. When my eldest sister found out, she told us to host her. How could your eldest sister do that? She did not even ask us first. Her intentions were obvious. Though the Diwu family was not first-rate in the capital, their name did not rank especially high. That did not diminish their standing or influence. The Diwu family was neither political nor commercial. They relied on divination, prophecy, and altering fate. Legend says their ancestor foretold a national catastrophe and changed the fate of the entire nation. That was how the present empire came to be. Their ancestor revealed heaven's secrets and died violently. Though this established the Diwu family's position and brought their prestige and power to its peak, every blessing comes with a curse. The nation's fate had been changed. How could one life possibly pay that price? From then on, the Diwu family line dwindled. A once mighty family was left with only 2 branches. There were only 3 descendants in all, 2 men and 1 woman. The direct line had only 1 heir. Worse still, that precious heir of the direct line, met with some unknown misfortune years ago. Rumor had it he had fallen into a vegetative state. He could pass away at any moment. Their bloodline dwindled, and their abilities declined. It was said the direct line did not even know what the I Ching was. For such a great family to fall so far was truly lamentable. No one dared look down on the Diwu family. They were protected by the highest authorities. The one lying comatose had grown up in the head of state's residence. The nation's leader loved him like a son. He spared no effort to cure him, declaring that whoever cured him would be granted one favor. No matter how diminished the Diwu family became, they remained beyond most people's reach. Besides, even a fallen giant still has resources to spare. Whatever benefit eldest aunt hoped to gain, what did it have to do with their family? The old madam was quite advanced in years. What if something happened to her? Who could bear that responsibility? If they hosted her well, aunt would reap the benefits. They would gain nothing here in Haishi City. It was all effort for no reward. One look at his wife's expression told Father Mu exactly what she was thinking. He did not want to get involved either. His position had been clear when he split from the family and left the capital. He had no grand ambitions. He worked hard to give his wife and children a good life, with food, clothing, and money to spare, living happily. If his wife wanted to live like a wealthy lady and get beauty treatments, or travel abroad and attend fashion shows, she could. He would give his sons the best education possible. But as their father, he could not provide for them forever. If they lacked ability in the future, they could live ordinary lives. He would not slave away for them. But as for Xiao Chen, he had to care for him for life. Xiao Chen had suffered too much in the first half of his life. He had to make it up to him for the rest of it. He thought building ties with the Diwu family would be a good thing. If they built a good relationship, Xiao Chen might find a good match in the future. But he could not say that in front of the children. Do not overthink it. Even if we agree, she may not come. And if we do get to host her, that is a good thing. It never hurts to have more connections. Peizuru could only nod. The capital branch had set its mind on it. If he refused, aunt would have the family matriarch intervene. The Mu children all seemed interested. Only I did not even look up. I stayed focused on my dinner, as though I were facing a feast beyond compare. Father Mu grew deeply worried at the sight. Xiao Chen had been raised far too innocent. He did not know whether that was good or bad. What if he failed to find someone sincere in the future? If he married into a wealthy family, he might be used up and cast aside. If Xiao Chen married an ordinary person, he could not bear to see him suffer hardship. He decided his wife should guide him more from now on. The world was complicated. Being too innocent was not good. While Father Mu's mind ran wild, I had already swallowed my last bite. I finished dinner, completely satisfied. When I looked up and met my father's complicated gaze, I paused. Had I eaten too much? Was he worried I had overeaten? He was not worried I would eat the family out of house and home, was he? How could I know he was worrying about my marriage? The moment I stepped into class F at school, the noisy classroom went silent as if someone had pressed mute. Everyone shut their mouths. They appeared busy with their own things, but kept sneaking glances at me. Their looks were exceedingly strange. Without looking aside, I walked to my seat and sat down. Beside me, Lu Qiuping wore a dark expression. Hey, why are you not saying anything? She had been waiting for me to humiliate her. But after waiting and waiting, nothing happened. I took out my textbook and began reading. Only then could she no longer hold back. What is going on? Say something. I gave her a puzzled glance. Lu Qiuping slammed the desk and rose to her feet. She glared furiously at me. You are messing with me. The classroom was frighteningly silent. Everyone around us had cleared away. I blinked innocently. Oh, you mean yesterday's fight? Did you not lose? I am your boss now. How dare you treat me like this? I furrowed my brows deeply. It seemed necessary to establish my authority. I rose from my seat and walked to the podium. My gaze swept across the class, cold and full of pressure. From now on, I am the boss of Class F. If you object, challenge me. From now on, you listen to me. Understand? Although I had defeated Lu Qiuping, Class F was not convinced by that. A newly transferred student, and a boy at that. What gave him the right to be boss? Even if Lu Qiuping had lost, there were still the rest of them. Why should they listen to some wimpy boy? Do not think beating Sister Ping is enough. Who knows whether you just got lucky, or used some dirty trick. Do not get so arrogant, newcomer. Exactly. We only recognize Sister Ping. My delicate brows lifted slightly. You recognize Lu Qiuping. Lu Qiuping acknowledges me. Those are not the same thing. Is Mu Chen out of his mind? I did not waste words on the others. My gaze settled on Lu Qiuping. Do you accept yesterday's result or not? If you do not, there is nothing I can do about it. After all, no one can beat someone shameless. Of course, I would be helpless. What kind of fake sweet manipulation is that? She laughed from sheer anger. Her fierce eyes bore into mine. Grinding her teeth, she forced out two words. I accept. Revenge is never too late. She firmly believed yesterday had been a fluke. He must have used some trick to win. He must have used some trick to win. She had not even seen him move. Before she was flat on the ground. She considered herself battle-tested. How could she fail to withstand even one move? That was impossible. I gave her a thoroughly disdainful look. Did she think I wanted to be the boss? I did not want the position at all. Was being the boss supposed to be easy? Put bluntly, it meant being a nanny. An unpaid nanny at that. I had already worked myself to the bone in Wangsi City. I did not want to keep toiling after coming to the mortal world. But for merit, what else could I do? Coming to Class F had been an accident. I had originally agreed to go to Class A. But while walking down the corridor, I sensed something was wrong. Two clusters of energy swirled in midair. One black and one purple. The small clusters were entwined. The purple energy was weakening. Before long, the black energy would overwhelm it. Purple ore signaled someone of noble destiny. But with black baleful energy mixed in, it meant trouble. That immediately caught my interest. Helping this fortunate person dispel the baleful energy would earn me merit. When I learned the room below was Class F, it meant that person was in Class F. Naturally, I had to investigate. That was why I enrolled in Class F. Lu Qiuping was that lucky yet ill-fated person of noble destiny. Lu Qiuping glared at me. The Diwu family really was coming to our house. The matter came up again at the dinner table. This was not a discussion, but an announcement. The Diwu family was coming. Mu Rulin and Mu Yakin felt that. With the adults present, they did not need to worry too much. They took it in stride. Mu Xuan lowered his eyes slightly, his mind racing. Only I ignored everything around me, focused solely on shoveling down rice and dishes. Peizu's feelings became complicated. He was so innocent. How would he manage in the future? Such an important matter did not even concern him. He was remarkably unconcerned. Chen, what do you think of this? Peizu suddenly asked. I was savoring my food and froze for a moment. In an instant, everyone was looking at me, waiting to hear what I thought. I had no choice but to put down my chopsticks. After swallowing my food, I gave it some thought. Since they are coming, we should welcome them properly. Just treat them as ordinary guests. Mu Zhuang could not help objecting. They are the Diwu family. How can we treat them like ordinary guests? If they wanted to be waited on as honored guests, countless people would gladly do it. They could enjoy that service at any luxury hotel. But they did not. Why come to our home instead? They do not want to be fussed over like some precious treasure. Not everyone wants to be put on a pedestal. Father Mu furrowed his brow thoughtfully. Soon, his expression relaxed into a smile. Chen has a point. The Diwu family are not the type to put on airs. Since they are coming to our home, proper courtesy should be enough. Making too much of it would only seem fawning. Peizu came around as well. Chen is absolutely right. The old madam keeps a low profile. People in the capital rarely see her in public. She is not one to seek attention. Treating her as an ordinary guest will do. It is not as though she could not find somewhere better to stay. Father Mu pondered for a moment, then said, All right, let us do that. He had found it strange himself. Why would she stay as a guest in the home of people she did not know? Why had she chosen the Mu family? When he asked his eldest sister in the capital, she gave him an earful. She said that if such a good opportunity landed in someone else's lap, they would seize it and make the most of it. Yet he wanted to push it away. Why dig into it so deeply? What could the Diwu family possibly be after? They would not even take a family fortune if it were handed to them. He hung up on the spot. The Diwu family could not possibly be plotting against the Mu family. Since they were coming, they would simply deal with it. They just had to avoid offending the Diwu family. If eldest aunt wanted the benefits, she could pursue them herself. The arrangements for receiving the old madam were settled. Seeing that his parents had actually agreed, Mu Zhuan did not know what to say. If this was not reckless nonsense, what was? They were letting him make fools of them. They were gambling with their future and reputation. He wanted to say something, but swallowed the words. Forget it. Once the Diwu family moved into their home, he would find a solution then. He resolved to look out for himself. I did not give much thought to the guests coming to our house. The old lady would not trouble me. I would not need to entertain her. I would rather think about how to bring Lu Qiuping into line. More than half a month passed in the blink of an eye. I had adapted very well. Modern children were so fortunate. Even boys could attend school. As long as they were capable, they could keep studying. It was a wonderful thing. I had certainly never experienced anything like it before. Class F watched their self-proclaimed boss behave attentively in class, without causing trouble, then diligently review and do homework after class. I was the very picture of a model student. Class F is not Class A. Sister Ping, are we really going to let this continue? He is turning us into Class A. Jiang Xuan cried in despair. Mu Chen is getting more and more outrageous. It would be one thing if he wanted to be a good student himself, but he is forcing everyone else to become one too. No fighting or fooling around during lessons. No skipping class, and no leaving homework undone. Worst of all, he even gives spot checks. If we cannot answer, we get punished. Until we understand it. Is he a student or our homeroom teacher? Even Big Liu is not this dedicated. Is something wrong with him? Lu Qiuping's mouth twitched at the thought. First, he provoked her and defeated her. Then he crushed Class F's resistance. She thought he was going to do something earth-shattering. Could he be one of those saintly, self-righteous do-gooders? Lu Qiuping was deeply irritated too. She could not beat him. What could she do? Thinking back on that bizarre incident, she refused to accept that she could not defeat a boy. She wanted to restore her authority, but feared losing and humiliating herself. She had to make sure nothing could go wrong. Mu Chen was clearly no ordinary person. Put this matter aside for now. I need to return to the capital. We will talk when I get back. Lu Qiuping said irritably, her brows drawn tight. Her words carried a violent edge. Jiang Xuan silently drew a sharp breath. She did not dare say another word. Everyone familiar with Sister Ping knew that she deeply resisted and loathed the capital. Every time she returned there, she was in a terrible mood. Gloomy, dispirited, repressed, and volatile. No one dared provoke her. Lai Qingqiu patted Sister Ping on the shoulder. If something is wrong, tell us. Do not carry it alone. Jiang Xuan quickly chimed in. Sister Ping, we are sisters. Lu Qiuping gave a scornful laugh. She shot the two of them a sidelong glance. Going back to the capital is not like walking into a fire. What are you afraid of? The two exchanged looks but said nothing. They feared what had happened when she went back to the capital 2 years ago. They had not thought much of it then. But she returned half dead. She was covered in injuries. Beneath her clothes, not an inch of skin was a mark. It was red, swollen, and bruised purple. It felt as though her veins could burst at any moment. She trembled at the slightest touch. It took over a month for her to recover. Afterward, she returned to the person they knew, as if nothing had happened. When they cautiously asked, she became strange. Her cold stare sent chills down their spines. Too traumatized, they did not dare ask further. She knew they cared about her. Lu Qiuping smiled, warmth filling her eyes. Enough with the sappy stuff. I know how to protect myself. I am not a child anymore. I will fight back. On the third day, I noticed Lu Qiuping was absent. I thought she simply had not come in, but she had taken leave. I beckoned Jiang Xuan over. The gesture was like calling over a little dog. Jiang Xuan wanted to ignore me and pretend she had not seen it, but icy cold suddenly wrapped around her body. She shivered from the chill. Instinctively, she looked over. She saw me staring straight at her with a smile. Though my eyes were cold, she shuddered and decided it was best to come over. Otherwise, who knew what would happen? It certainly would not be anything she wanted to see. What do you want? She asked harshly, still defiant. Where is Lu Qiuping? Jiang Xuan wanted to snap back, but faced with my dark eyes, she did not dare. Sister Ping took leave. She is not coming. I rested my chin on my hand and considered it. Taking leave. That is not a good sign. Her luck is poor. There are signs of disaster. She may suffer bodily harm, and her spirit is unstable. Her baleful aura is suppressing her purple aura. That is not good. Where did she go after taking leave? What is she doing? Jiang Xuan exploded at the interrogation. What is this? Interrogating a criminal. Even if you appointed yourself Class F's boss, you have no right to treat us like criminals. I stared at Jiang Xuan in bafflement. I had not expected her to be this ridiculous. On the third day, I took leave. The Mu family decided to receive their guest as they would any other. Still, they had to keep up appearances. Father Mu waved a hand and mobilized the entire family. Everyone took leave to welcome the distinguished guest at home. I had no objection. If they wanted me to take leave, I did. Little did I know, Class F was in an uproar. As for Pu Lei, who had mocked me yesterday, Pu Lei put the whole thing behind him. He had treated my words as though they went in one ear and out the other. He attended class, went home after school just as usual. He went to bed early in a good mood. Then something unexpected happened. When he woke up and called for someone while looking for something, he realized no sound came out. Thinking he was not fully awake, he shouted at the top of his lungs. His face changed. There was still no sound. Feeling as if he were dreaming, he clutched his throat and opened his mouth. He screamed soundlessly and rushed outside. The Pu household descended into chaos. They did not connect it to yesterday. They thought he was ill. The hospital found nothing wrong. His vocal cords and organs were perfectly healthy, yet he could not speak. He opened his mouth, but no sound emerged. The doctor attributed it to a psychological problem. His life had been smooth lately, with nothing unusual happening. They advised him to rest at home and adjust his mindset. Perhaps he would recover in a few hours. Once the news reached Class F, the classroom erupted. Something had happened to Pule and his friends. Someone lowered their voice mysteriously. Jiang Xuan, ever sharp-eared, caught it and asked what was going on. A classmate sat beside her and shared the gossip. Sister Ning, my home is near the Pu residence. Our maid heard about it while walking the dog. Pule went mute this morning. The people around them were skeptical. Could that be true? How did he suddenly go mute when he was perfectly fine? He was fine in the voice chat last night. It is true. The maid's fellow townsmen heard it while they were chatting. The hospital could not find anything wrong. They said it was caused by psychological issues, and the friends he was closest to all took leave today too, just like him. The room fell silent as everyone exchanged looks. They did not know whether to believe it. It was unbelievable, but they did not connect it to yesterday. Only Jiang Xuan and Lai Qingqiu froze slightly. They remembered what I had said yesterday. I'll punish you by taking away your voices for 3 days. Goosebumps rose all over Jiang Xuan. A chill ran through her. This was too eerie. Qingqiu. Could this have something to do with Mu Chen? How could anyone not be suspicious? He said it yesterday, and they got hit with it today. It is exactly the same as the punishment. That is far too much of a coincidence, right? Lai Qingqiu frowned. Lai Qingqiu drew a deep breath. Coincidence or not, we should not provoke him again. That guy is impossible to fathom. If he truly did this, we would probably end up even worse. Jiang Xuan nodded frantically. She felt the same way. From that day on, the atmosphere in class changed. No one dared make a racket or fool around anymore. They all obediently listened to me and studied. I watched it all with satisfaction. As long as they stopped causing trouble, I could not be bothered to use any methods against them. The days that followed were peaceful enough, but the online backlash grew increasingly fierce. When Yimo's parents produced the evidence, they handed it directly to the police. The police stepped in to investigate and gather evidence. The truth about what happened at them all that year was exposed. Zhang Yan and several students involved were all given major demerits and ordered to leave school. At last, the matter could no longer be covered up. Mu Chen was restless at home as well. He spent every day terrified and distracted. As the Mu family watched the news reports, they learned Zhang Yan was involved in a homicide case. They were all shocked, with lingering fear still in their hearts. Peizu looked at Mu Chen and asked, Xuan, tell Mom the truth. Were you involved in what Zhang Yan did? Mu Chen turned as white as a sheet. With a thud, he dropped to his knees. Mom, I truly did not help hurt anyone. I only stood by and watched. I was too scared to stop them then. I truly know I was wrong. After Mu's father and the sisters heard this, their eyes filled with bitter disappointment. Though he had not directly pushed anyone, standing by coldly, condoning it and covering it up, were equally unforgivable evils. Mu's father made his decision with a cold expression. The Mu family can't keep a big shot like you. I will give you enough money to live on. Move out and live on your own. From now on, make your own way. Mu Chen wept and desperately begged everyone. But this time, no one softened or took his side. Even Mu Yue turned her head away. She might not be very sharp normally, but she could still tell right from wrong. In the end, Mu Chen was sent away from the Mu family. Their family businesses faced a boycott. One after another went bankrupt or faced closure. At last, they had reaped what they sowed. When Yimo looked at me in the room, the resentment in her eyes was gone. Thank you for getting justice for me. Now that I have seen them receive the punishment they deserved, I can finally leave in peace. I smiled and nodded. Go be reborn. In your next life, you will be safe and blessed. She dissolved into specks of starlight and faded away. A surge of pure merit flowed into my body. I felt my power grow considerably. Life returned to its former calm. I became the steady anchor of Class F. I led the whole class to an incredible comeback. Lu Qiuping also gave up her delinquent swagger. She was accepted into a good university. I enjoyed the warmth of family in the Mu household. My parents and sisters all doted on me. Though I was still sharp-tongued and loved to snap at people, they knew I was kind at heart. They indulged my little temper. Life in the mortal world was quite wonderful. As for my status as the young lord of the city of wrongful death, once I have lived out this life here, I will return